making sure that's how things would go down against the Hurricanes.
Got to get to the 8. He's going to take off and run. Mendoza weaves his way first and goal. Diving toward the end zone. Touchdown! That's where he won the Heisman Trophy.
That 12-yard run, courtesy of ESPN, with 9:18 to go, would be the difference. Hoosiers win their first ever national championship in football. For Indiana, the first top-level team to finish the season 16-0 since Yale in 1894. Browns held their second interview with defense coordinator Jim Schwartz on Monday. Continue that search for a new head coach. Word is the Browns going to have a second interview with Ravens offense coordinator Todd Monken today. Also, Mike McDaniel, former Dolphins head coach, believed to have a second interview set for tomorrow, and also could be the same for Jacksonville OC Grant Udinski. At some point, the Browns do want to have a second chat with Chargers defense coordinator Jesse Minter. Cavaliers on Monday lose at home to Oklahoma City 136-104. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, 30 points. Thunder snapped the Cavs' winning streak at 2. Thunder shot 49% from three-point range, improved to an NBA best 36-8. The Cavs, just 8 of 35 from beyond the arc. They lose for the 8th time in the last 14 games at Rocket Arena. Don't miss 92.3 The Fan off-season special tonight, as we'll get the latest on the Browns. They continue to look for a new head coach. 7 to 9 tonight, right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima, here on 92.3 The Fan.
Catch Afternoon Drive with Nick Wilson and Jonathan Peterlin live on YouTube each and every weekday from 2 to 7 p.m. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Got to get to the 8. He's going to take off and run. Mendoza weaves his way first and goal. Diving toward the end zone. Touchdown! That's where he won the Heisman Trophy. Back, steps up, delivers downfield. Intercepted! Jamali Sharp makes the pick that will clinch Indiana's first national championship. A century of futility is forgotten. The Indiana Hoosiers are the kings of college football.
It took a lot to get here, but I'll tell you what it took to come out ahead in this game was a lot of guts. Took some chances, found a way. Let me tell you, we won the national championship at Indiana University. It can be done.
I first want to give all the glory to God. And, I mean, there's no better group of guys I want to deal with. It's the most special moment of my life. There's such a great group of guys. I love you guys. Great job. Let's go!
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of ESPN. Good morning.
Morning, Kenny.
Should I make a big deal about him cussing like the Bulls play-by-play guy and then get ripped for like 40 minutes on a radio show?
That happened once?
Oh, my goodness. Ben Johnson dropped an F-bomb last week, and all of a sudden it was a war zone in Chicago. Good morning. The national championship game is over. Indiana is the national champion, which is a wild sentence to say. I watched that game. Mendoza, good or bad pro? Will he be a good or bad pro?
I think he has a chance to be above average.
You won't say good. Wow.
Well, I don't know because, watching last night, like their line could not protect. My God, Miami had 3 guys that are going to, probably 4 actually, that are going to be playing on Sundays, but 3 of them that have a chance to be really, really good. And the tackles, holy cow, the tackles for Indiana could not protect. So Mendoza would run out about 3 steps and He's still, man, he took so many hits and kept putting balls near guys' hands, putting them around, giving them a chance to make catches, but they had the very, very conservative game plan. And so would you ever have a conservative game plan with a Caleb Williams? But then again, could Caleb Williams lose you a game like that because he's going to make mistakes? And Mendoza basically made very few mistakes.
See, did you think it was a mistake to be conservative in the game plan? Okay, because
I thought it was exactly the plan.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen a team run the ball on 2nd and 12, 2nd and 14, 2nd and 9.
Well, they're trying to set themselves up for third, as you know. I'm not trying to talk down either.
But that doesn't compute with the way we watch. With the way we watch football today, that doesn't really compute. Teams don't do that anymore. When they get behind the sticks, teams seem to abandon the run.
Well,
they didn't at all.
Because I first off, I thought it was a great game plan. I do tend to go a little bit more conservative in the offense on how those things go. Miami's strength is on their offensive and defensive lines. I mean, you could very well have a Miami offensive lineman as your number 6 overall pick coming up in April for the Cleveland Browns. So, and we haven't even talked about the defensive line yet, which is, we were only 6 minutes into the show, so how could we? Their strengths are on the offensive and defensive line. I didn't think that they wanted to put themselves in a bad spot where you all of a sudden, he's got the arm to throw it, but do you really want to put yourself in a bad spot if you get behind the sticks on first down? I'd rather set up 3rd and 7 than set up 3rd and 20 or, God, throw a pick and have a bad situation. I think that Indiana knew that they were a better football team, but Miami's obviously very good. And if they were able to hold down without making a bunch of mistakes, that they were going to be able to win the football game. And I think that that's basically what they try to do and basically what they did.
And normally in college football, the team that has the better lines wins the game. That did not happen yesterday. Indiana's good up front on both sides. They weren't Miami.
But again, who had the better quarterback?
Yeah.
Carson Beck's done a lot this year to change my perception of him. I'm not saying he's a first-round pick. He's still probably mid to Saturday. Somewhere in there.
No, but he was going to be undrafted. Now he actually has a chance to be late Fridays, then Saturday. He actually has a chance to go 4th or 5th.
He is. He's really changed my idea of him over this last year. I thought that he's done a tremendous job. But Fernando Mendoza, if your lines, and you're right, offensive and defensive lines usually is going to be the telltale sign in a lot of that. But then it's going to probably come down to the quarterback, and Fernando Mendoza is the better quarterback. And
here's what he will be able to do. He is going to be able, the back shoulder throw, that is NFL level right now.
But he can make all the throws, Tone.
Yeah, but the back shoulder one, I don't see college kids doing that. That is such a specific NFL skill that an aggressive head coach can tell his guy on 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, we're just going to go to this. And if the timing is right, you're going to be able to complete those. So he can instantly play on Sundays. The other thing, he gets rid of the ball as fast as almost any NFL quarterback.
Yeah.
So that is a skill. We don't really measure that a lot of ways. I mean, maybe there's some next gen stats on that. So he's going to go number 1 overall, and I think just those 2 skills alone, plus he's 6'5", and he's got a little bit of mobility. I mean, let's not get carried away, but you did see he had the iconic play of the championship run.
He's somewhere between Bernie and Michael Vick.
Right.
It's a joke.
Yeah. But that was an incredible, and that guy takes a hit. I mean, they were cheap shotting him early in that game, and I don't want to say he was unfazed. He was phased a little bit. They got to him a little bit. That was the one thing Miami did to Ohio State too. They kept using the term violence. They were just flat out cheap shotting him. The one, I know he was technically a ball carrier in the situation, but I mean, it was helmet to chin and upward trajectory. And they didn't call a flag, and he was bleeding immediately, and Cignetti was riding the refs. But you wondered, because the same thing happened in the Ohio State game. Very first play, Ohio State kind of took a shot at him, and he walked off the field, and you're like, is this over? Is this Big Ten championship over?
Yeah.
And he came back. So the 3 things I just said, getting rid of the ball fast, back shoulder throws, and being able to absorb the big hits, that makes him automatically a Sunday starter in this league.
Was there any thought to you, I'm peppering you here, was there any thought to you as an Ohio State fan that, you lost 2 games to each one of these teams. Yeah. Did that make you feel any better, or is that a loser's lament?
No, I mean, obviously,
just asking.
Obviously, both games could have gone either way. I thought they had a terrible game plan against Miami. I thought they were conservative against Indiana, and I wondered if they were saving stuff for a playoff run. And in the end, you just don't have those opportunities. No. So it cost them. It cost them royally. And again, both those teams were as good in the trenches as Ohio State was. So there's no question, there's no confusion what Ohio State needs to do. And then Ohio State had a young quarterback. They're going up against a grown man. I mean, Fernando Mendoza and Carson Beck, how many starts did he have? Those were grown men. You choose your starters now in college football. You don't like groom them from high school. Like, you get to go and take whoever you wanted. And maybe that'll serve Ohio State well next year when Sayan's got experience. But this year, that almost isn't fair.
So there's 2 things. One, I think that Indiana is good for college football in its present makeup. But I also think that it can lead to something very, 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 very bad. I think college sports is where good stories, you want them to come to light because they're We turn everybody into a villain, especially in the pros. You get sick and tired of them winning, get sick and tired of their success. If it's not you, you get tired of hearing about the good stuff. So, and I've already seen some of the stuff with Mendoza, but still in college football, I think that while we like good stories, there will be a turn at some point. Indiana, I think, is good because it's like, hey, now anybody can win it. You wanted this, you got it. Anybody can. When you have a 12-team playoff, anybody can run the table, quote unquote. Even though, boy, I think it's really tough. I think you have to have the horses there. But it's made an interesting product. It's made it better. Indiana winning the national championship, I think it makes it a little bit more fun. There's two little pitfalls I don't like. One, I can't believe Carson Beck really hasn't been to a class in 2 years.
That's what he said.
We should at least have some sort of eligibility of college football, should we not?
I guess I'd ask why at this point.
By the way, what was Akron doing?
Nobody was ineligible this year except for Akron. That was the only team.
What was Akron? Were they setting their tests on fire out in the street and they said enough's enough? What could Akron have been doing to make them academically ineligible when a guy says, like, yeah, I haven't been in a class in 2 years. I graduated 2 years ago.
And you have a ton of the grads all over the place transferring.
The grown men in Indiana. So there has to be something that's reined in. I think probably there should be like a 5-year cap. Like, okay, whenever you go, you get 5 years. Whenever you go to college, you get 5 years. You can be eligible for 5 years. That's it. You can play as a freshman 2 years over or whatever you want to do, grad. You get 5 years to play. That's it.
Yeah, because think about how different this is from so many teams when they get to the national championship game where none of these players would have been eligible. They would have had to have moved on by now. Remember, there was the COVID extra year, too, which I think is finally coming to an end.
Look at a guy like TJ Finley who took advantage of. He's going into year 7.
Yeah,
I forget where the hell he's going now.
I think some guys had 8.
So that's bad. There's one little other thing. Can I say one little other thing? The other little pitfall I don't like is, while I think it's incredible what Curt Cignetti has done, I think it makes crazy, powerful men even crazier. And so I think that there's power brokers and such at big-time college football programs that are looking at him and what he's done in 2 years at Indiana, where they've had to invest mightily in that football program. But what he's done 2 years at Indiana, and now they expect the same out of their program, no matter what.
Well, any programs with money.
Yes.
So there's only so many, like the Texas schools are certainly part of it. The Big Ten schools, I saw people saying, why can't Minnesota do this? Minnesota's got a ton of big boosters. You know, obviously
in a big city, in a very big city.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the Big Ten. The SEC schools are panicking. You know, this is 3 straight years where they have not won a championship. These kids do not care that Nick Saban rolled off all these national championships. They do not care that LSU's had 3 different coaches win national championships. Auburn fans, they don't care. Where is the money? Well, guess what? The Big Ten schools and all their grads dispersed throughout all the country, since there's no jobs in the Midwest outside of Chicago, they have to go elsewhere. They have the money. And as long as the economy for rich people is good, then there's going to be endless money that can flow to a lot of these recruits. I don't know how sustainable that is, right? Like, imagine if we have a rough patch in the economy, the stock market goes down or whatever. For those people on top, all of a sudden, are they going to cut off that funding? What is it going to look like? What does the sport look like? But for now, like, be very worried if you're one of those schools that are considered have-nots in a different way. Like Indiana, they became a have because they had guys willing, and Mark Cuban's like, yeah, this was worth it. I'm going to spend more money. Now, so I did see a lot of people, you said, is this good for college football? And I thought this year was as interesting a college football season as I can remember because there were so many teams that could win the national championship. That's never been the case in my lifetime, and it's not just because of a playoff. You could have expanded the playoffs 20 years ago. 5 teams had all the talent. So there weren't teams that could win a championship. There were blowouts routinely in the semifinal rounds once they evolved into a 14 playoff. Now, this opens things up for a lot of teams. The flip side is I saw a lot of people saying, well, you're buying your team in even so much more of a strict sense. Like you are just going out and you're funneling money from your billionaires or your 100 millionaires, and you're also stockpiling. Like Indiana stockpiled all these older players. So what is Indiana probably not going to do in the future? They're probably not going to recruit a lot of high school kids. That sucks. That sucks that the greatest teams in college football wouldn't want go grab all the great high school players? What does that do for high school football?
Well, but
like
there's
when
also,
those opportunities.
You're right about that, but there's also been a lot of situations where, and I told you, I mean, we could have a big, long, maybe it's a podcast discussion because I can go into the weeds with it. I mean, I think that there's plenty of schools that are trying to play major college football, but group of 5 college football that they should not be playing in. They should be playing in the FCS, but again, that's a different day. I think for a place like Indiana, Indiana could always just be like they were a sleeping giant. I think there will always be places for high school players, but I think that one of the frustrating things is, and I think you just have to change with the times, not you, but the coaches, is that, you're probably developing them for somebody else. Is that you're probably, in so many ways, I mean, you remember a baseball sense where what sucks about pro baseball is that you have, for years now, it's more like the Dodgers, but for years and years and years, it was how good can they play until they can end up on the Yankees. Now it's how good can they play until they end up at Ohio State, Miami, Indiana, Texas A&M, et cetera, et cetera. Now, it does put a little bit more pressure because when you think about the money, I'm sure Indiana spent a bunch of money, even though Kurt Signetti tried to downplay it yesterday. Like, we don't spend that much. Like, okay.
There were more. I think there were like 7 more expensive rosters,
but like
unofficially.
Texas,
but yes.
But what everybody's going to assume it. It's like, well, you still spent a bunch of more money compared to what you have spent before. But like Texas Tech spends $37 million on their roster.
They said Texas is north of 40 next year.
And you can get to a playoff, but if you're not getting there, what are you really getting out of it? So I still think you have to have team building, and I still think you have just so many players. I think it's still very tough. And I think we've seen some great football, and I think we've seen some great game planning and some tight games, yes.
What would you compare this to in sports? I think this is one of the craziest sports stories that nobody could have ever seen coming. I've seen people say the Rams with
I was
Kurt
thinking
Warner.
maybe the Rams because Trent Green went down. Fernando Mendoza has always been the starter. I mean, it's up there. It's probably up there with them. 69 Mets.
Before my time.
Worst to first, something like that. Maybe that's it. I mean, it's almost in its own because the rules have changed. Like the rules were the rules in those situations.
Yeah, marrying the portal and NIL together at the same time meant a team like Indiana could swoop in at the exact time and steal a national championship.
216-474-0092. Mendoza, good or not? Also, I'm kidding, by the way. Should I put that out as a poll?
Or whether or not we should have tanked to get him. Whether we should have lost the last 2 games to get him.
All right, we'll get to that, I promise. And the bizarre circumstances surrounding Jim Schwartz, Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app.
Anthony Lima for Van Scoy.
just under 20 minutes away, a vicious debate that apparently happened yesterday that I'm afraid to even answer the question considering the reports you gave me. My God. That coming up at 6:41. Apparently, I'm walking into a great big hornet's nest, so I'm a little bit nervous about it. Just one more thing before we move on to the Jim Schwartz stuff. You have the MKC report in front of you there. You might want to get in front of you there to read this off because I know you read something before the show, and I'm setting you up in a bad spot here because I did want to bring up. Did you happen to notice? I saw the camera cut to her once with about 6 and change left before the touchdown pass that Carson Beck threw. You said the ESPN kept cutting to her?
Yes.
For a film star?
Yes.
I didn't see her but only that one time, and now it's all over the internet. Them showing her. I didn't realize they kept cutting to her. They kept cutting to her.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew who was watching.
That's their audience?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of people watching college football, but they know who was watching. And good for her. She a graduate student, or is she just going to school there right now? Undergraduate,
I didn't know.
I should say.
She goes to school.
Oh, yeah.
I thought she got a very different education.
Well, she's the one doing the teaching now. Apparently from some of the stuff I've seen recently. But is she? I don't know if she's an undergraduate or a graduate student. Either way, I mean, we all have our alum, and they have many famous alum. And she's one of the other famous ones. But it was interesting to see. Very interesting. And, we all want super fans, and she's certainly a super fan. Very fond, very free-spirited, that one. Anyway, Sam Monson joins us at 9 o'clock this morning. So you got the MKC thing in front of you, right? Mary Kay, what did she say about Jim Schwartz? This make some sense here.
Yeah, she wrote, quote, part of Schwartz's interview on Monday was to help determine how he might fit with the other candidates as defensive coordinator if he doesn't get promoted. The Browns would love Schwartz, 59, that's his age, to return for a fourth season as coordinator if they hire someone else to replace Kevin Stefanski to keep their dominant defense humming along.
So this is what's weird is, I can look at it as a fan and say like, hey, I'm kind of interested in this Grant Udinski. I'm really interested in him. Young, 30 years old. I know he hasn't had a lot of experience here, but to me, it was a protection against Andrew Berry, and it's like, okay, right, if they don't have a great season next year, and I don't think they will, Andrew Berry, I think, is on the hot seat. Well, they're not just going to move on from both of them unless Grant Udinski goes out there and embarrasses himself. Jim Schwartz, though, this is like the second time I've heard this, and it feels like he's a bit of a fail-safe, and they're just telling him that you're the backup plan if they don't like any of these other candidates. Which is an odd way to go about it because I want them, whoever they pick, I want them to feel passionately about whoever they pick. Because whoever they pick, there's going to be some passionate arguments. You can already see. It's based on philosophy. It's based on experience. It's based on what fans want out of the job. You can't just hire somebody and they're going to go, oh, okay, hunky-dory. Whoever they hire, there's going to be strong opinions about. So if they hire Jim Schwartz, I don't want the opinions about Jim Schwartz to be stronger on the air than they are from the Cleveland Browns. I don't want to go through this next year or the year after. I want to give this a good, solid effort with whoever they hire, Anthony. And it feels odd to me.
If I were him, if that is true, what Mary Kay wrote there, if I were him, that would come off very disrespectful. Like, I'm coming in to interview for a head coaching job, and you're already telling me, yeah, but can we interest you in working underneath a 30-year-old? Yeah, we're just going to give you a better title, a little more money.
Well, he's still under contract for another year. Now, these things change. I mean, Bill Callahan was under contract. They let him out of his contract so he could work with his son, and now he's going to work with the Atlanta Falcons.
Especially, Kenny, he interviewed with one of our rivals to be the head coach. And now you're saying, hey, come in for a head coach interview. Let's talk turkey about you being an assistant to someone who's never done this before.
I think they probably feel very strongly that he's not going to get that job.
I'm sure they do, but even then, isn't that even more kind of disrespectful? Maybe he's comfortable in his own skin. Maybe he thinks he's probably never going to get a head coaching job anyway, and this is his last chance to interview. I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe he's thinking if Myles Garrett gets injured, then I'll never get looked at again.
Does it make you feel? Oh, well, I mean, yeah, but you have a lot of guys. So go ahead. Go ahead.
So I just am surprised if that's truly what that interview was about, just doing a fact-finding mission to see if he would work with one of these young guys who's never led a team before, never called plays before. I think that would leave a bad taste in my mouth. Now, money can always change that. That can always change things in a hurry. So maybe could they make him the highest paid assistant in football or something like that?
Let's be practical about it.
Now, that might be Josh McDaniels.
He could very well get very mad and just leave. He could get mad and just go, you know what, I don't care if I have a contract. I got enough money to hell with you. I'll see you later. Like, he could try to do something like that. Or we could be pragmatic about it and go, listen, we really like this young man, but we see what the Rams have done, what the Rams did when Sean McVay took over. We'd like you to do the same thing. We'd like you to do what Wade Phillips did. Now, he could turn right around and go, Wade Phillips was in his early 70s when that went down, if I'm not mistaken. So you could say, or Wade Phillips was an older man. You're not going to put me out the pasture. I think that's a pretty significant spot to have to run basically the football team while the head coach goes over. I mean, it was different. It was certainly, now it's not that way anymore, but when they first did it, there was a lot of skepticism and a lot of questions about it. If the Browns had done it, the Browns would have been skewered, but the Rams even got it because people didn't think that highly of Stan Kroenke at the time, for crying out loud. So there's a lot of different similarities here that you would make up for it. If we're just going to be pragmatic about it and be professional about it, that could be the spot. I don't want Jim Schwartz to just turn into some fail-safe, like, I can't get a date, this idiot will call me, and I'll be able to go out on a date with this guy. Like, I don't want it to be that guy. I want them to have some passion behind whoever the hell that they hire. And it does feel at first blush that it feels a little bit disrespectful to me, I got to tell you. But then if we just push away our egos and say, hey, this is the scenario here. This is the scenario. We got a younger quarterback room. We got to make this happen no matter what. Even if we go out and we bring somebody in at the quarterback position, we got to look at this offensively. You've done a tremendous job with this defense. Can you work with this man, or are we going to have a problem? Like, that's basically how, we just have to be honest with each other. Yeah,
I also wonder how
it's not disrespect if I'm just being honest, right?
How much have they, I'm just saying, somebody who's won a Super Bowl as defensive coordinator, somebody who's had some of the most dominating defenses, certainly the only reason you have any wins at all, it seems, over the last few years has been the defense. Mm-hmm. And you also don't want to anger like Myles Garrett or Denzel Ward.
No.
I don't know how they feel about Schwartz, but I imagine they feel really good. They've also played under other defensive coordinators, and it hasn't looked like this.
They've been put in a much better position with Jim Schwartz.
I just assumed all along they were mining as much information from Schwartz about what he saw that was right with the team, what he saw was wrong, because he's been a part of both. He's been on bad teams. He's been on good teams. He's been on Super Bowl champions. So this is kind of a reflective moment for everybody involved. Andrew Berry leading the coaching search along with Jimmy, D, JW to some extent. I'm curious what that must feel like if you're Jim Schwartz and you're being asked, hey, why are we bad? What is going on with this team? What do you think of Shedeur? You have a defense that goes up against these guys in practice. What do you think of Dylan Gabriel? What do you think of Deshaun Watson? He's been hovering around the building. What do you think of these other quarterbacks? What do you think of Grant Udinsky? Would you like to work with, at some point, it's like, dude, guys, give me the job. Like, what are you doing asking me all these questions? And then, what, now does he get to interview with Grant Udinsky? How does he know if he wants to work with Grant Udinsky if he's never met the guy, or maybe he's just heard about him? Like, you understand what a tight, that's a tough needle to thread to both value his information.
You're right.
Want him to stay, but we don't want you as the head coach.
And from the outset, because of their history, like, I think that I'm already seeing on the phones, like, it's already going to lead people to question and get mad about it. Anytime I try to give them the benefit of the doubt, it ends up blowing up. 4 quarterbacks, it was unorthodox. Try to give them the benefit of the doubt, blows up. This, it would feel like it blows up because you'd want to say, like, listen, we value you, but we also value what this guy brings to the table. Can you work with this young man? Can you, as a 59-year-old defensive coordinator, grizzled, a guy who's won a Super Bowl as a defensive coordinator, can you work with this person, or is there going to be a problem? Now, that might turn into, he can't work with this guy, we can't hire him, what are we going to do? Or it turns into, you know what, damn the torpedoes, we're just going to get rid of Jim Schwartz if it comes down to loggerheads about that. Like, these are things I still don't know about. 100%, you're right. It is weird. It is weird to be asked about somebody else. It is weird to go into an interview and be asked about another one of the people that are being interviewed here. But these are weird jobs that you have a lot of different things about it. And I think the Browns right now are trying to be very careful because I think they're trying to tippy-toe around having to do a full-on rebuild. So the next hire that they make, yes, could end up being a great hire, could end up being disastrous. Like, I there's a lot of things that I think excite me over reading about Grant Yudinsky over the last year, or over the last week, I should say. But if he goes out there and he doesn't know his ass from a hole in the ground, and when it comes to being a head coach, and he'll be thrown into that fire very quickly because you know how the fan base is here, you know how the media is here. He'll be thrown into that very quickly. So if he all of a sudden doesn't know where he's going, now all of a sudden you are looking at a full rebuild because the players aren't put in the right position. Then you have a question of how good the draft class is. Like, there's a lot here that can topple. And Jim Schwartz is a guy that you value his experience, you value his smarts. 216-474-0092. Does it make you feel worse about the Browns coaching search if Jim Schwartz is being consulted? And I'm told Daryl asked such a polarizing question yesterday that I'm afraid to answer it. But I'm going to try in 5 minutes on The Fan. Northeast Factory Direct, northeastfactorydirect.com. Great furniture, great prices.
Scheibman Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
All right, go ahead and read this.
You sure?
Well, because you knew what you wanted to do. You know you want to just tune me up and let me go. So go ahead and read the damn thing, Owen.
I don't have it.
Okay, this guy Dylan on social media with a bunch of numbers says
Dylan 6969. There's
That's
only
right.
one Dennis 6969.
That's right. Said
Dylan 6969 420.
the Browns could have had Grant Udinski coaching a team quarterback by Fernando Mendoza, but Ken Carman wanted, quote, culture wins.
Oh, my God. Okay.
What do you think about that, Kenny?
Is it bad? Did the Browns win because I willed them to win?
No.
I want to know that.
That has nothing to do with that.
So, okay. So the Browns won because I willed them to win?
No, I don't think that's what he's saying.
So what is he trying to say?
I think he's saying, why did anybody want the Browns to win the last two games if you could have had the number one overall pick?
First off, I got people comparing Fernando Mendoza to Nick Foles right now. So if we want to go with silly internet responses, I can go with silly internet responses all we want.
We can win a Super Bowl? And have an MVP?
He did win a Super Bowl.
That'd be pretty good.
Yes, he certainly did. Well, sure as hell. Look who's the idiot now. Fine. But the two culture wins. Do we need to sit here and do this whole thing over again, the semantics of it all over again? I'm sorry. If they would have won, if they wouldn't have won the game, would they have had the number one overall pick? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know if the Raiders would have allowed him, but you. And that's, by the way, that's you who've said that a million times.
I don't think. I think the Raiders would have not made. Was it a home game or an away game? I was gonna say they wouldn't have made the flight, but they would have figured out a way to lose that game.
It was a home game for them.
So it would have been even more bizarre.
I don't know, guys. You guys sat there and went one. And I'll say to Grant, I'll say to everybody else, or Grant or Dylan, or whoever the guy's name is. You went 1-31 before, and you took the third best quarterback in the draft. You went 1-31 to set yourself up for a quarterback. One win in 32 tries, and you took the third best quarterback in the draft. It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee. Fernando Mendoza, I wish him well. I'm not rooting against him over the two quote-unquote culture wins. But you guys sit there, and when you talk about losing, to me, all you're doing is basically giving them an excuse to lose more, because that's all they've done before. So if you want to give them an excuse to not be good at their jobs, go ahead and give them another excuse to not be good at their jobs.
I'll just remind you.
So that's how much faith we have in Andrew Berry. You have to sit there and lose because we have no faith that he'll ever be able to pick the players, which, by the way, they took the third best quarterback in the draft, and that's the guy people will call in and line up down the street to bring that guy back. They took the third best one, number one overall.
Well, I mean, you could have had Jackson Dart last year, and Harbaugh seemed to like him enough to take a job at the Giants.
Jackson Dart last year, yeah, but none of us. Again, one person called in 4 months of talk radio to take Jackson Dart number 2 overall. Nobody was taking him number 2 overall, and nobody was taking him number 5 overall for that matter.
But
I don't want to hear that either.
But you did say at the time that if we were just going to end up firing the head coach, because that was in doubt a little bit before those last two games.
Yeah.
We thought he would get fired, but you did say that culture, if they end up firing Stifansky, then there might not be any culture carryover.
Your culture comes from within the locker room. But I don't think, again, I cannot stress this enough. I don't believe it just carries over. It doesn't just carry over. I never said that then, and I won't say that now.
That is why. That's why a lot of people just said you might as well lose the games. If culture's not going to carry over, then what's the difference?
People are mad at it because it was Shador who said it. But you can sit there and understand going, all right, you just got done. Let me make sure I'm right in the right spot with my schedule. You just played at Chicago. You walked around and lost that football game. Nobody wanted to be there. That's when I really thought he could be fired. Here we go, going over not so ancient history. You played tough against the Bills, but you lost. You had these 2 wins. You knew that they weren't going anywhere. You knew that Kevin was probably getting fired. We all knew in our heart of hearts. Now, it was a question. I understand that. But if you're going to be able to do that after going out and embarrass yourself against Chicago and then losing to a team that everybody thought was everybody knew was going to the playoffs in the Buffalo Bills, there has to be some sort of culture in the locker room to rally everybody and not just go out there and die. That's what we meant by culture wins, for the love of God. But no, winning 2 games, I've never, ever, 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 ever claimed winning 2 games is going to set us on the right track for winning football games in the future in 2026 and beyond, because you won 2 meaningless football games at the end of the season. That's what I'm trying to clarify.
The thing I was bummed about is, I said this at the time, if we were going to win games at the end of the year, I wanted it to be because Shador was amazing. Instead, he was terrible.
He was bad against Cincinnati,
and the defense carried they're really the defense the last 5 games of the year.
Which is why I'm so surprised that Daryl got hammered, apparently, for saying we're questioning whether or not that he would trade for CJ Stroud. I want to get this right. So Daryl out of nowhere.
Yesterday, yeah.
Do we have audio of it at all, or no? I didn't ask for it, so I set you up in the bad spot there. Again, I was out yesterday and I was out of town yesterday. Daryl apparently said that he would trade. That was this a question or was this an opinion?
5 minutes into the show, we were talking about the weekend that was in the divisional round.
CJ Stroud, he said he would trade the second first-round pick for CJ Stroud.
Yes.
So I thought about this because you told me he got killed for this opinion yesterday. Why?
Because CJ Stroud, people watched him the last 2 games in the playoffs.
He was awful
dreadful
the last 2 games, but they were in the playoffs. Now, you can be a bad quarterback and get to the playoffs. Your team can carry you. Is that what they were saying, is that their defense carried them to the playoffs?
Oh,
because he wasn't that great this year.
No. Well, the funny thing was, by the metrics that we keep pointing to, he was 13th. By EPA per play and success rate, he was 13th.
Oh, that's not as bad as I thought he was this season.
Last year, he was really bad. He was like in the late 20s.
So he got better.
But his rookie year,
he was off the charts.
He was like 12th.
Okay.
And, I mean, he cooked the Jim Schwartz defense in the playoffs.
Yes.
He was unbelievable.
So now he's a garbage quarterback and we don't want him?
Now, in the recency world that we live in, he's now terrible.
So I struggle with...
Daryl was thinking buy low. Like, they're talking about whether to give him an extension.
No, you're not buying low there. That's where I disagree with Daryl. There's no such thing as buying low on a guy. Like, it's the same thing with, like, I don't know if I want to give up my first-round pick, my second first-round pick for him, and then have to pay the guy.
Right.
But at the same time, and we're having these conversations, it would just be a second or a third or whatever, but adding on to it, if you wanted to do with Mac Jones, you wouldn't have to pay him what you're paying C.J. Stroud. At the same time, there's so many people who believe you get what you pay for. I just don't understand why he got hammered for asking such a question. Did he start arguing with people saying that they're idiots or something like that?
I don't even think that was some big, bold proclamation. I think it just came out of his mouth like, hey, CJ Stroud's been good for the Texans. They go to the playoffs. He's obviously had better seasons than the quarterback play we've had in recent memory.
Well, yeah.
And so the Browns only have so many ways to get a quarterback. They're obviously not getting one at the top of this draft. So what are the Browns doing? Are they trading for Mac Jones? Are they trading for Malik Willis? What is the because we both agreed yesterday.
Malik Willis should be a free agent, right?
Oh yeah, he's a free agent. They were talking like $50 million. If he doesn't get franchise, which he would never get franchise.
25 a year or something like that.
So the whole thing is we both agreed, and I don't know. I think you're on board. Is that it can't be a quarterback room of Shedeur Sanders, Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson. That cannot be the setup for next year.
But
because if that's the setup for next year, whoever they hire as the head coach is going to be set up to totally fail in year one. And if you have a 30,
when you say it can't be, you're saying there's no way that I, as a Browns fan, can tolerate that, right? Because it's probably gonna be.
If that's the case, and Grant Udinski actually takes this job, Vegas will have him as probably 4.5 wins going into the year. And if he starts the season like 1-5, especially with that easy schedule. If they start out the season like that, this is going to be one and done. That'll be the case with that quarterback room.
Can this be the quarterback room in 2026 is the question now. 216-474-0092. I'm sorry. I don't think that Grant Udinski would be a one-and-done guy. I do not want to take a bad situation and make it worse by giving up too much money or too much picks and strapping us too much with the cap over one of these other ones if I don't feel that strongly about the guy. We've already been through hell. Why create a hellish situation out of desperation? Desperation is what got us in this spot to replace the quarterback that didn't want to play for us anymore and wasn't playing very well and was the third best quarterback that everybody tanked it out for.
Wouldn't desperation be lining up the quarterback that is statistically like one of the worst quarterbacks in recent history and pinning your hopes on that? Isn't that desperation?
What has the organization done to change personnel and the people that acquire personnel, players for the organization, right? They haven't changed anything. If I agree with you, the word that this can't be the quarterback room, I agree with you as a person that loves football, but I don't believe for a second that they are absolutely going to change the quarterback room. There's nothing that looks like they're going to do that.
Well, let me ask you guys, 216-474-0092. Can this be the quarterback room in 2026, or does it absolutely have to change? I don't believe it has to change. I don't. I've sat here through bad football, and I'm willing to be patient for the right guys because I don't want to make some foolhardy, crazy, desperate decision like what got us here in the first place was a foolhardy, crazy, desperate decision. 216-474-0092. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan.
Anthony Lima for my friends over Fanatics.
change or with the head coach search. There's going to be strong opinion on whoever they hire, and it's mostly going to be negative because it's the Browns, right? Am I right?
I actually think people have been a little more open-minded than I expected because they know once the Harbaugh thing was clearly a pipe dream, I think fans are very open-minded because of the pool. Like, if the pool is going to be guys that have not done it before, unless you go with the retread.
All I'm seeing is that if you want Jim Schwartz, it's 6-year-old old defensive coordinator, doesn't get it done in this league anymore. Or if you want to take Grant Yudinsky, which obviously there are different ends of the spectrum there. Grant Yudinsky, a 30-year-old guy with no experience, typical Browns, typical stupidity. I don't think anybody's going to be very thrilled. There's going to be some, but it's going to sound like a great big fight. And I think we're in the same spot here when it comes to the quarterback spot, where I didn't realize Darryl got hammered for kicking around the idea of trading for CJ Stroud. And I think some of this stuff is way overblown. Yeah, he had a terrible game. I watched that whole game on Sunday against New England. He was absolutely dreadful. You guys are right. And he did not play that well in the postseason. And he really hasn't played that well in the postseason here, except for the first time out. But just getting to the postseason is tough enough, and we're getting to a point here, guys, quarterbacks aren't falling off of trees. So you got to kind of stick with who you have because we're seeing some guys go out and they're getting second chances, and they're doing well with those second chances. Well, I don't want to be a team that gives up on a guy and lets him have a second chance somewhere else. I want to get it done with my own organization. So I think if you're the Texans, like some of this conversation that's going on around some of the fans, hey, I understand fans are mad and it wasn't a good performance whatsoever. Let's calm down here and make the right investment on this. And I look at the Browns quarterback situation the same way, is that I'm getting some pushback on some of the things that I've said where I'm not just changing out the quarterback room for the sake of changing out the quarterback room. There's better options that you can get. Mac Jones is a better option. Comes with strings attached. Malik Willis is a better option, or it seems like a better option for you. He comes with strings attached. There's a lot of things there that you have to take into consideration. And it's not about just getting the quarterback room a little bit better. You want the quarterback position, the number one, to be one of the best. How do I do it? Well, I know that a lot of people said you could have lost the last 2 games and been able to do it. But again, I tell you that, yeah, you could have had Fernando Mendoza. But as Lima says, I don't know because I didn't know at the time what the Las Vegas Raiders were going to do by the time that they got around to playing in their football game. So there's a lot of ins and outs here. So what I have now is a situation where I'm not drafted until number 6 overall. And the quarterback room as of right now is not a good one. Shedeur, Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson, or Shedeur, Deshaun Watson, then Dylan Gabriel. Ain't a good spot for anybody involved. That's fair. But I'm not going to make some foolhardy, crazy decision because the crazy decision is what got you here in the first place.
But you don't
giving up 3 first-round picks for an albatross is what got you here in the first place.
You're not doing that to get any of these guys. But you don't think it's crazy to just run it back and say, well, we have a new coach. Because I think that's crazy.
But I think
that could get everybody fired in quick order.
See, I don't. But I don't think it's going to be that much better. I'm going into this next season thinking they're going to win 5 or 6 games. That's where I'm at. Now,
and that's the defense winning those games.
Yeah. So more than likely. And if Shedeur doesn't play that well, fine. He doesn't play that well. Deshaun Watson, how well do I really want him to play? Because I'm afraid he's going to fool us. Like it's not a good spot. But how much better am I making it? Do I believe that much in Malik Willis? That I'm going to give him $50 million over the next couple of years? It's just money. So that's the easiest thing to it. With Mac Jones, I got to give up picks, and it's San Francisco. You know that they're not in any interest in helping us. So I have to give up picks, and I have to give him money. Now, I'm not going to have to give him $300 million or whatever the hell it is, but I'm going to have to give him some sort of an extension there. I could try to make him play it out if I really wanted to, but I don't know how much good that's going to do for everybody involved. But we could try to go down that road if we really want to and franchise tag him. I've heard that idea, and it's a little unorthodox because you really want to make that investment, but fine, we can go right on ahead and do that. Like, there are options there that you can be better, but I'm not going to force it and double down and triple down on previous bad decisions. So if I got to go into this season with those three guys as my quarterbacks, then yeah, I guess I got to go into that season with these three guys.
I wonder what season ticket holders would think about that.
Season ticket holders haven't been happy in years. So what? I wonder. I don't know what I'm going to do.
What is it? So what your message would then be? It was all Kevin Stefanski. He was the only reason we were bad this year.
I don't know what their message would be. I'm not them. I'm telling you what I am. I'm not blaming it all on Kevin Stefanski. I'm telling you right now, I don't know how good they're all going to be. Probably not that great. Now, you're bound to be a little bit better because you're definitely going to address the offensive line. So hopefully that'll help. It's not that they're going to be all that great. I don't want to make some crazy decision and then have to invest even more. That's why I've been sitting here screaming no to Ty Simpson. Because you're just going to invest even more if you take him at the back end of the first round. Or, God forbid, now what we see about the quarterback room or the quarterback class, he'll probably shoot up the draft board for a lot of people. And then there's the other ones that we don't talk about that I'm sure will work out and look good, and all of a sudden you'll hear great things about them.
The only way they could possibly run it back with this quarterback room is if the messaging is, oh, boy, you guys got to see Deshaun Watson. That's the only way that I think fans would be okay with that.
Then you're going to hate me because...
And fans probably wouldn't be okay with that.
Throughout this entire offseason, I'm going to say I'm not going to be fooled. I'll wait to see it myself. Of course, they're going to come out. You are right. You're correct. They will come out if you have these three guys. Say Shador's your starter. Say Deshaun's your starter. Oh, God. That's even better. They will come out, and there will be stories about how much progress they have made, how much better they've been. Wait until you see this, that, and the other. The ground shooketh beneath Hugh Jackson when Robert Griffin III took his turn on play action. You will hear those types of stories. And I will tell you right now, from this month of January all the way up through August, getting ready for week one, I'm going to tell you, I ain't going to believe it. But I'm just not going to make a bigger investment in that position that I have to. And then have to drag this out any further. That's where I'm at, man. So if we got to go out and we can only win a few games next year, fine. I don't care. I'm not dealing with this any longer. I'm not going to make some crazy decision again. Crazy decisions is what got us here. Can't you guys see that? So what, you so desperately want to move off a guy that probably isn't worth the arguments that we've been having or that you've been having with people on the internet now for the last how many months? Probably isn't going to be worth it, right? You want to move on that desperately from that guy? You're willing to double down and make an investment on somebody else that you don't fully believe in?
But
Ty Simpson, Malik Willis, Mac Jones, any of those guys.
It doesn't have anything to do with, I'm not desperate to move off of Shador. I'm desperate to find a legitimate quarterback for this team, so Myles Garrett is not wasting his time just chasing personal records.
Yeah, I get that too, man, but this is what they are. I'm not going to force a situation that isn't there. If they're not there, they're not there, and I'm not going to sit there and stare at something until I can turn them into the type of person that I want them to be, because they're not going to be. They're not going to be. I'm not going to sell myself on terrible QBs anymore. I've done it, and I'm done doing it. I'm done. So if this year is the year that they have to go out there and just play Shador for 16, 17 games or play Deshaun Watson half of this, I don't care. I don't care. I'm going to get the position right come hell or high water. And if it takes this year, then it takes this year. I'm going to be a lot of fun, apparently, over the next how many months.
I mean, that sounds like you want them just to tank this year.
Whatever happens, happens. I will not root for them to lose. I never have, and I never will. But if they go out there and they have a bad quarterback, yeah, I'll probably get mad on a Monday, but I'll be understanding by a Tuesday and a Wednesday that, yeah, they don't have a great quarterback situation. They don't have one. I mean, we wanted the head coach gone because of how the quarterback play was. The head coach is gone because of how the quarterback play was. So I can't just keep sitting there putting it on head coaches and all the other guys. I can't keep scapegoating it. If it isn't working, it ain't working. 216-474-0092, Alex and Warren. Hello.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, Alex. Go ahead.
So I was listening to a breakdown about the Browns roster yesterday, and so if you're a coach coming in, you have to look forward to probably the worst offensive line in football if you have to assume that you're losing Wyatt Teller and Joel Bitonio, correct?
Okay.
What quarterback is going to be good behind the worst offensive line potentially in football?
Josh Allen.
Yeah, I guess so.
I get what you're saying. I mean, it takes a very special QB to be good. I mean, that's what you're saying, yeah.
And you had brought up the point about Kevin. Like, is it just Kevin's fault that we've been bad for years and years and years? Well, can you name an offensive player that developed and became better over Kevin Stefanski's tenure? Like, off the top of your head, can you name, maybe besides David Njoku? Okay, I'll give David Njoku. But can you name, like, more? Like, do you have to think hard to name more than David Njoku?
Yeah.
I do.
Well, yeah.
Now, is that because they drafted guys that weren't able to really be developed? Because you do draft guys based on ceilings sometimes, and they also seems like they drafted a bunch of the wrong guys.
Well, they got rid of Kevin, and we'll find out this year just how much of it was Kevin's fault. Because they're not. I mean, they can address this, but I don't know how much more they can address. If they still don't have a quarterback, then we're still just going to be spitting into the wind here, Alex.
I agree, but we had Baker Mayfield, and I didn't think Baker Mayfield's very good. I don't think he's proven to be that much better than what he was when he was here. Besides making a couple playoffs down there, he made a playoffs with us too, and he won a game. He's won a game down there, but I just have loftier expectations for the Browns than winning a playoff game. So forgive me for not thinking, he was what we needed to build our future around. But even he regressed under Kevin Stefanski. He got worse under Kevin Stifansky. And that was kind of the point of going to get Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson regressed under Kevin Stefanski. Shedeur Sanders is 7 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Like, nobody has been playing good besides Joe Flacco for 6 games.
Well, yeah, but I haven't been arguing this whole time to keep that we should have kept Kevin Stefanski. I'm not arguing that. It's just...
I understand. So kind of, I'm trying to bring it around to the point is, I think a new coach... I don't know what to think with this quarterback room, because your question was, are we going into next year with this quarterback room?
Uh-huh.
I don't know what a new coach is gonna look at this quarterback room and say, like, it can really only get better. Like, it literally can only get better. I don't know how it can get worse. I mean, I've been watching the Browns my whole life, and this year was pretty terrible. It could get worse. I just hope the new coach comes in. And this is probably going to be the quarterback room. We owe this guy so much money. We have 2 rookies. Like, let him battle it out. Like, I'm not rooting for him to lose. But, again, you've got money tied up in him. You've got 55 players under contract coming into next year.
That's where I'm at. I mean, Alex, we went a long way to come to the exact same place. You and I are in the exact same spot, and thank you very much for the call. Like, all these things are me talking myself into decisions I know are bad decisions. Because why? Because I'm desperate. I'm done. I'm tired of being desperate. I'm tired of searching through the dumpster for quarterbacks. I'm done. 216-474-0092. If it's these 3 guys going into 2026, then it's these 3 guys. To hell with it. Coming up, I'm hearing them complain. It's the best part of all this. Who are them? What is this? I'll tell you in 5 on the Fan.
Anthony Lima, 4. QC Kinetics were paying as a way of stealing the
squad with Steve Palazzolo? Do they have to change that QB room no matter what? I'm going to get back to that coming up here in moments. I think the best part about this is I'm not an Indiana fan. I mean, congratulations to them. Great story, but I am a fan of Midwest exceptionalism. I am a fan of being in the Big Ten. I do want the Big Ten to do well. It is nice to hear a lot of the SEC getting really upset. I mean, it really bothers them. It really has sent them into a tizzy on this.
They're calling the Big Ten cheaters.
Okay. Well, that's some rich dialogue right there. I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Why are they cheaters, by the way? Because we're paying them money?
Yeah.
Or the Big Ten's paying them money?
Now that it's out in the open, and that technically there are, and it's unclear what the legislative branch is going to do about this, because there's been a lot of talk about how NIL has been handled. It was supposed to be name, image, and likeness. It wasn't supposed to be just pay the players directly outside of the lawsuit settlement. It was supposed to be, hey, you're a car salesman in the Midwest and you want the quarterback to come work for you and market the program. Okay, you're going to pay him money. And that's not what's going on. Guys are just getting paid to play football. They're not doing anything. They're not even going to class, apparently, according to some.
Now, are they getting game checks like the NFL players do,
or
do they just get a lump sum?
There have been some lawsuits already filed about guys that have reneged, guys that have shut it down, guys that have broken promises. So, it's still the wild, wild west right now. And that's what's so crazy, that Indiana was able, of all the schools, to be able to uniquely thread that needle and come in and take advantage. And I did see this. People were unhappy about the terminology, people calling it a Cinderella story. And it's kind of a little bit, we just don't have any comparison to this. Like in March Madness, we know what a Cinderella is. And if Butler would have gone all the way to win the championship when, the ball rimmed out from half court to beat Duke, like that would have been Cinderella. This team does not have the 5 stars and 4 stars of Ohio State, of Miami, of Texas, of Texas A&M, of Texas Tech, of Michigan. Like of Oregon. They don't have all of that. But they also have one of the oldest rosters in all of college football. Imagine like back in the day, BYU, but with more talent and being able to go get the best quarterback. Because that's what they did in the portal. Mm-hmm. Mendoza was right up there. I think he was as expensive as anybody else in the portal. So does that make them disqualified to be a, quote, Cinderella? I mean, considering where they were 3 years ago, I mean, he was able to build this in 2 years.
You can throw money at a problem. There's plenty of players out there willing to take your money. You still have to go out there and win. I mean, there's plenty of guys out there, plenty of teams that have expensive rosters that didn't win enough.
What mistakes did they make?
So you have to give credit to what they've done and what they've built in a very short period of time. I mean, somebody went back and threw something back from like August 31st of last year, 2024, when it was like a barren stadium. They showed the last home game they had before Curt Cignetti, where there was barely anybody there. I mean, it was a dead program. It was on its ass. And for what he's done and the investment that they made, like they were one of the programs that you didn't think that it would happen to a place like Indiana. But it was one of those things like, hey, don't be surprised is when the Big Ten continues to grow, they turn around and look at some of the programs that haven't invested in their football program the way that they should. And Indiana was one of those ones highlighted where it's like, well, they're a blue blood basketball program, so they'd be fine, but look what they haven't done when it comes to their football program. Well, all that's gone. All that's done. So you still have to give credit to what was built there. And frankly, I mean, if you're just hearing a bunch of stuff from the guys in the SEC about cheating, I mean, people who are usually the biggest losers are the biggest ones yelling cheating. And I find it very funny that places that would do everything they could to circumvent the rules and to make sure that they had the best roster out there is accusing anybody of cheating. It's college football. This is college sports.
And just so many of these Southern players have been poached. They used to be in a concentrated group of schools, and now they're all over the country because they don't care about tradition. These players don't care about tradition. They don't care necessarily. Yes, coaching matters. A lot of these guys want to get to the next level, but they also want to take as much money as possible. And, hey, if you can do all three, if you can have great coaching, great support staff, be able to make a lot of money, and compete for a national championship, all three of those things married into one is a panacea. It's exactly what they want. And, there are so many schools, how many that can offer that? They don't care about your facilities anymore. That does not matter. They don't care. They don't even care about whether or not the school is 5 miles down the road. All the games are on TV now. Your family, somehow the families are able to go out no matter how poor they are. They seem to be at every game.
Yeah, it's business. It's the way it goes. By the way, second time I spilled my coffee in 2026. That's just grand. 216-474-0092. But that was one of my observations that I've had during this time. That's why it's kind of fun to see Indiana win, which, by the way, I believe we have John Cougar Mellencamp. Is it just John Mellencamp? There's no Cougar in there.
Yeah, Cougar.
That's his team.
Gone.
We have John Mellencamp tickets. Dancing Words Tour, The Greatest Hits, coming July 21st. That's coming up at 9. John Mellencamp, who has his own private box at the top of the stadium so he can smoke. They built it specifically for him so he could smoke cigarettes up there. At the top of the stadium over at Indiana, you could go win tickets to go see John Mellencamp.
What do you think he thinks?
That America.
What do you think that he thinks of Fernando Mendoza as the
he's
number
a big
one
fan
overall
of Fernando
pick?
Mendoza.
Because the Shador people and all the affiliated accounts were hammering him last night, talking about how mid he is, how horrible he is, what smoke and mirrors carried by the rest of the team and the coaching staff, that he couldn't make all the throws. Look how unathletic he is. This was all the stuff, paragraphs upon paragraphs being written last night.
Go put Alfredo Mendoza out there and see how well they would have done this year.
About the guy that, went undefeated at Indiana, won the Heisman, won the national championship, and then had the play of the game. He had the play of the game. His spinning John Elway Super Bowl-like, bouncing off defenders into the end zone. His arm was red from his wrist all the way down to his shoulder. Totally red. He was taking cheap shots all night while they were trash talking him. That Miami team talked so much trash last night. And Fernando Mendoza just did. Glory to God.
Threw it out there, wrote Mendoza good pro or bad pro. 76% say good pro. Of course, it's early. Andy on Twitter says good, but not number one. Glad we didn't get the number one overall pick.
Well, what does that mean? He's going to
tweet your nasty comments at him about the culture wins. Then
I am so curious about that. Like, if a team needs a quarterback and they're at number one, and you're saying Mendoza's going to be good, but he's not number one, that does not compute to me. That does not make any sense. So
I think, I don't agree with you. I think now, like, you kind of got to take the reality of it, of what the quarterback position is and what it has been here over the last couple of years. But there's still the expectation. You take a guy number one overall, he's supposed to be generational. He's supposed to be one of the 1% guys.
Like, we would have been saying that about Sam Darnold like crazy, and he is 2 games away for winning a Super Bowl. Who are the other quarterbacks that are around this weekend? Okay, you've got Matt Stafford, who can't move. I mean,
former number one overall,
but people said Mendoza can't move. Then he had the touchdown run of the game. It was incredible. He's not the fastest guy in the world, but he seems that, either was Joe Burrow, and Joe Burrow seemed to have a unique way to find holes and to be able to take off and run. Obviously, Stidham or Nix, whatever. People are very down on Nix. I thought Nix was the best quarterback of the weekend last week. I thought he was incredible.
I thought he was good. What was the matter with him?
People did not.
Well, because his stats and his numbers and everything else
Have you guys seen football when we get to this stage? I don't know who these people are that think that guys are throwing for 400 yards.
Franchise quarterbacks don't break their ankle on kneel downs.
Was that really?
What are you trying to say, Owen? You saying he's not a franchise quarterback because he broke his ankle on a kneel down?
A joke, Ken.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Do franchise quarterbacks cry after they lose again and let their city down with all those turnovers? That was Josh Allen after the game.
Come on.
Has Patrick Mahomes cried?
Never.
I haven't seen it. Is he too emotional to be your starting quarterback?
No, he's exactly as emotional as you want him to be. You want a guy to take it that seriously at that level.
I thought he was the best. I bet for the last 2 years, he's probably been the best quarterback in the NFL.
Were you making fun of him yesterday because he was crying?
I asked if that jeopardizes his ability, his over-emotional, the way that he reacted. Does that jeopardize?
I disagree.
Can he ever win a Super Bowl?
I watched him. I swear to you, I watched him. Yes, he can. I watched him very closely during the game, and I was amazed at how he just compartmentalized everything. Like, during the game, like, he sits there, and you look, and they show these guys, and they're just looking at the Surface, the Microsoft Surface Touch, whatever the hell it is, and then they're looking up at the scoreboard because that's where they're watching the games. They can't see anything in front of them. So they watch the games up on the scoreboard, and you could see him processing what he was going to have to do. Like, while there's first downs, like, okay, we might start at the 30 on this drive. We might start at the 26. Like, that type. You're watching him compute it. I didn't think there was anything. But, yeah, at the end of the game, when you lose again, when he knows these guys aren't stupid. No Burrow, again. No Mahomes injured. The runway is as wide open as it's going to be, and you lose in the divisional round.
It's heartbreaking.
And you lose in the divisional round to what is seen as a newer team, lesser team. Like, yeah, that's going to bother him. And it should bother him. I don't mind him being emotional after that.
He's put the team on his shoulders so often. That roster, people put up, we talk about Andrew Berry's bad drafts. Holy cow, the bad drafts in Buffalo.
Yesterday.
Holy cow,
exactly.
There's so many, two Pro Bowl players in how many years?
It all came to a head over this yesterday because of Sean McDermott getting fired, and then they bumped up Brandon Beane, and people started. I mean, you look at the wide receivers that they've had, the misses that they've had on offense, like some of the other things. Like, yeah, there's a lot of parts there where Josh Allen is not an idiot. He knows that of the little help he may get, he's had to throw that team on his shoulders. Now they've been able to run the ball better, and they've had James Cook and some things like that. But there's a lot there that, you have to let that go. And to lose a game in that fashion and have the season ended, it would be tough to take. I'm an emotional person. You're an emotional person. I don't mind him for crying over that. It doesn't mean to me he's not going to win a Super Bowl ever because of it. A talented quarterback being in that moment.
This was his best opportunity.
It was.
The last quarterback we didn't mention was Drake May, who just looked like a really young, floundering, couldn't get above water because, again, the defensive lines, right now, that's why people keep talking stats. And that game last night was like a playoff game in the NFL.
But that's
why.
The
stats are not going to be good. They're managing the football game. They're running the football.
200 yards.
I'm not trying to make a comparison. But there's going to be times where if the Browns were going to win any game, they were going to have to slop it up. And so they won a lot of games that ended up being low-scoring affairs that were pretty sloppy. The game they blew out Miami played very sloppy, and you took advantage of them defensively. And these are playoff games here where, these are good quarterbacks. Jarrett Stidham's, but Bo Nix before him is a good quarterback. You're going to have to grind it out. I don't have a problem. We all want him to throw for 4 touchdowns, no picks, 400 yards. These are great performances. It's the playoffs. They tend to be muddier games. And they were going to mud it up on all these guys. So, I'm not surprised by the stats. You got to go by what you're seeing. CJ Stroud looked like a deer in headlights the other day. Drake May, you said how he struck. I didn't think he looked bad. I didn't think he looked scared.
He just keeps getting strip sacked.
And that's a problem.
It's happened 11 times in his career or something. It's crazy high number.
I'm watching Josh Allen process the whole thing, and I saw CJ Stroud just looking anywhere for answers.
He looked broken
in the game. And I think that there's a difference where it's hey, you got to watch what you're doing. You got to watch what they're doing out there. And I can't just keep going off of Tony charts when he decides to put up the charts on all these guys and all the EPAs and stuff. So that doesn't mean that my quarterbacks are going to turn into him. But just to put the bow on it, because I know we were talking and screaming and yelling about it earlier, it's no, I'm not going to make some crazy decision to make this situation even worse.
It is funny to me that the paragraph writing Shedeur fans who are ripping any of the prospects, none of them can possibly have the season that Shedeur had in Colorado, when pretty clearly this season was an all-timer. This is up there with Joe Burrow. It's up there with Cam Newton going undefeated at Indiana of all schools, knocking off and winning all the playoff games. It was never going to be enough for some of the Shedeur people because they can't stand the sight of somebody getting acclaim and having a great college season. But they were talking about at the end of the year, hey, stats don't matter. It's just about getting the W's. And Shedeur got a few W's. Okay, well, do stats matter or do they not?
I think that Fernando Mendoza is good, and I think he's going to be a good pro. And if we had the number 1 overall pick, I'd be very, very, very excited to have him. But we don't, and I don't take back anything of what I said before. Not a damn thing. I think a lot of things could have changed. A lot of things could be different. But I'm not going to root against him just to be right on some other thing. 216-474-0092. Okay, just over about an hour and a half from now, Sam Monson going to join us on the show. He knows a lot about quarterbacks, knows a lot about that Brandon Beane situation. You guys see that tweet I sent you guys yesterday? Kind of want to ask him about that over there in Buffalo because seems that that guy has some rabbit ears over there in Buffalo. Who's running that football team. So I want to ask Sam Monson about that coming up at 9. About last night, coming up in 5 minutes on The Fan.
The guaranteed cash offer. It is a real thing. It's a real thing happening right now in Northeast Ohio for people.
Not a pretty game at all. After the game, this was Kenny Atkinson on the loss.
I do think these games happen in the NBA, right? You get blown out. I don't feel like we've had a lot of these. I feel like it's been pretty sporadic. This is one of these games, you almost have to flush it. Obviously, we'll look at it. We'll try to get better from it, but we gotta move on. We'll bounce back. We got a good group. Got to bounce back in Charlotte.
I feel like this is something that we've heard from Atkinson after every single loss, which was like, "Oh, I'm not concerned. This isn't a big setback." Like it's almost starting to sound like the Kevin Stefanski will get it fixed. Conferences.
He's doing what he can to get through the press conference a lot, and we brought that up last week. But I think hearing him, should I be angrier that it's like, well, you're playing Oklahoma City. What did you expect? It's like, well, wait a minute, dude. Who has the most expensive roster in the NBA? So should I be upset or should I go, well, Darius Garland was injured. Evan Mobley is not Chet Holmgren.
Well, let's be clear. They had the most expensive roster in the NBA because that was their only path to maintaining the exact same team, with just the little deviation with the bench and everything.
So is Oklahoma City going to have to go through that at some point?
Oh,
okay.
yeah. Oh, yeah. In a big way. And that was the thing I noticed last night was obviously SGA is SGA. You can see he gets to his spots. There's no defending him when he is on. But the other factor here, and this is going to be a tough pill to swallow, is we use the term and have used the term for 5 years, unicorn, to describe Evan Mobley, and it's kind of silly when you actually see the unicorns. And that's what Chet Holmgren was in person. That's what Lauri Markkanen as a 7-footer was when we saw him last week. When you see the true unicorns and how they can make space evaporate with just a dribble and can get to the rim and can, look like a guard when they're shooting three-pointers. It just doesn't look like that when Evan Mobley has the ball. And so, I saw a debate online about who has more athleticism, Chet Holmgren or Evan Mobley. It's not about athleticism. It's about dexterity. It's about, being able to weave in and out and proper footwork and just, it's like night and day seeing those two guys. Now, Evan, I think, is a better overall defender, even though Chet is up for Defensive Player of the Year. And had he not have gotten injured last year, he might have won it. I think Evan covers more space and can do more things defensively, but Chet, all-around player, he's just better than Evan Mobley.
Also, I did not hear this on the broadcast, probably because I wasn't listening very closely, but multiple tweets saying that there were audible groans in the stadium anytime Lonzo Ball looked like he was going to try and shoot.
Oh, yeah, because they know exactly what he's going to do. There's no mobility there. So anytime he gets the ball, you just think he's going to miss it. So I'm not surprised that there were audible groans. Can I tell you this, is that for some reason on the Peacock, I had to go to the performance view, which shows you a bunch of stats. And I don't like it how it has like the green streak that follows shots. And it's almost like the old NHL.
Oh, yeah, the blue streak to show where the puck was being shot.
Yeah, and they do this now with the Peacock, but it was the only one I could pick up the English broadcast.
Did you?
Well, it was Spanish.
It was on NBC though. You could have just turned on.
Nah, I was going to watch it on Peacock.
Okay.
Because I was doing some other things as well,
Gotcha.
and I had
Okay.
the other things going on, so I wanted to watch it on Peacock.
Good old Americans on my Peacock broadcast.
Well, it was no Eagle, right? Who was doing the game?
And Grant Hill.
Grant Hill's good.
He drinks Sprite.
I think he's underrated, and he drinks Sprite.
Yeah, and look, you also caught Oklahoma City in a game where shot 50. You got no chance to beat that team when they're on. And we've beaten some good teams because we've been on. So that still is a big part of the night-to-night NBA stuff. Obviously, it changes once you get in the playoffs. It's so much tougher to get these shots off. And this is still looking like regular season basketball.
But Anthony, I feel like every game that we lose, we go back to, well, the other team shot the lights out, right? It feels like that's happened way too many times this season.
We've been one of the worst perimeter point-of-attack defenses, closing out on three-point defenses. We've been one of the worst in the league.
Exactly is what Lima said. If you're going to let them shoot, a lot of these guys are good shooters, so they're going to end up shooting the lights out against you on most of these nights if you're not going to play any defense.
Well, and that's a problem.
Yeah.
Well, Chet goes 4 of 5. Dort goes 5 of 6, and the problem is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You have to dig down on him when he starts his movement into the paint, or he's just going to score every time.
Let's just not lose because a guy named Dort outshot you.
Well, Lou Dort's a fine player, though.
I like his name. He can be a fine player all he wants.
All right, one more NBA story. Jimmy Butler has torn his ACL. He did that last night in the Warriors' win over the Heat. Obviously a season-ending injury, but at the age of 36, is it a potential career-ending injury, or do you expect him to try and come back from this?
It's an ACL, so it's not an Achilles, so I would say yeah. I mean, there's money that's left to be made. There's roles that he can fill. However, at 36 years old, what type of role is he going to be able to fill? Like, there's only so many Vince Carters in the world that are willing to do such a thing like that. I mean, I don't know if he's willing to do it because
he's not a good enough shooter. That's the problem.
And the other part of it is most of his career is he has been the leader of the pack in so many ways. This was the first time he really was a piece instead of the main focus of the franchise he was on. Maybe he's already adjusted to that, but no, it's going to be an uphill battle at 36 years old, but there's still something there. But you were right, is that he's not the shooter that some of these other guys are.
So last night during the college football playoff national championship, there were some questionable non-calls in the first half, specifically in the first quarter when it looked like there was some targeting on Fernando Mendoza. During halftime, Holly Rowe asked Curt Cignetti about the officiating. This is courtesy of ESPN.
They're hitting your quarterback. How is that impacting your offense and his ability to get into a rhythm?
Well, there's 3 personal fouls on the quarterback not called in one drive that need to be called because they're obvious personal fouls. I'm all for letting them play, but when you cross the line, you got to call it. And they were black and white calls.
So I completely agree with him on this, but I'm at the point where I am so sick of the ref complaining, and it's not just in college football, just in everything. It's, baseball, football, college football. I'm so over it.
Don't look at social media during games then.
I know. I've gotten to the point where I don't.
Because it's going to be there.
But we've got to, how does this get fixed? Because there's been...
What?
There's been a lot of complaints. There were a lot of complaints about the refereeing during the conference championships in the NFL, like the playoffs over the weekend. And now you've got these awful non-calls. You've got umps not being able to correctly call balls and strikes during baseball games. Like, how does this get fixed? Because this is just a perpetual complaint that just seems like it's never going away.
It gets fixed, make better calls. That's how it gets fixed.
But they're not making better calls. That's the problem.
This is going to be very unpopular because the gamblers just lose their minds and blame all their bets on this. And
am I going to agree with you or not?
And Homer fans, they blame every loss on the refs. Not as recently with the Browns, by the way, which has been...
The Browns actually got a few calls that went their way last season. It was impressive.
But I will say that I don't... This whole thing about officiating's never been worse. We have all these camera angles. It's not...
That's why officiating's never been worse.
It's impossible. Why can't we just be honest? They train these guys more than they ever have. Compare it to what the officials were doing in the 80s and 90s. It is all full-time. It's all been professionalized, and we all think the officiating's never been worse. It's really hard to officiate these games, and they just let them play. No. I mean, that's essentially what they did. Remember, Miami was not called for a penalty against Ohio State in that game. They've been one of the more penalized teams all year. No penalties in that game. Ohio State was flagged twice, and there was one critical one. And I sat and I thought, you know what? I prefer it this way. I prefer let them play. Big games, I don't need flags. Let them play. If you watch, they allow so much more holding in the NFL divisional round. And in the Super Bowl and the AFC and NFC championship games, they will not call holding. And I'm okay with it.
Well, I mean, I've heard from several of the former NFL players that we work with both here and on the Browns radio network that they were trained to hold every single time because they're like, the worst that can happen is you get, a 5-yard penalty? So they're like, yeah, hold every single time because if you don't get caught, then you don't get caught.
I'll say this and then we'll end it because we have Sam coming up at 9. We have the Neutral Zone with Rat Boy and the Hog coming up at 8:45. One is that, some can make better calls. But the other two things are, one of the bigger part is rule changes. I don't think you should be changing rules as much as you do when it comes to professional football, especially when it comes to the NFL, but other ones. And then you have also the instant replay. If they're making the better calls than what we ever assumed, then you're going to have to get rid of instant replay. And they're never getting rid of instant replay because that's the one thing that we just go, all right, just accept it and we moved on. When there was no instant replay, it sucked. It would suck when a call went against you and you just assume, well, the call's eventually going to go against them. We can suck it up and let's get going. That's what it was. Now everything is reviewed. Every single score is reviewed to the point where it's like, all right, he was down at the 1-inch line. Okay, we're just going to have another play, and he's going to get the ball in, and that's the way it's going to go.
I know we got to go. The Bills game, Kenny, you weren't here yesterday, but the Bills game had that interception, obviously, that was as controversial as it gets. But what did everybody mostly say? Bang, bang. So how do you ever fault the officials when we all agree, bang, bang, play? Could go either way. Well, then you can't blame the officials on it.
I've always agreed with Lima about a game like last night. Until now, I think you're going to have to bring up some evidence here, Tone. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan. Window Nation at windownation.com. coaching jobs filled over yesterday and last night. We'll tell you about those here in just a moment. Folks, check out the Fan Off-Season Special every Tuesday night, 7 to 9 p.m. Jake Volnick, Lance Reisler, and Daryl Ryder recapping all the latest Browns news and the moves ahead of this offseason in free agency and in the draft. You can listen right here, 92.3 The Fan. Stream us on the free Odyssey app and watch every episode live on YouTube. That's right, it's live on YouTube. That's the Fan Off-Season Special each and every Tuesday night, 7 to 9, right here on 92.3 The Fan. 2 jobs that were filled. One is Robert Saleh going to the Titans, and then Jeff Hafley going to the Dolphins. He was the former BC coach, wasn't he? And then he was the defensive coordinator of the Packers. Now he's the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. That's right. Yeah, formerly the defensive coordinator at Ohio State, then went to BC, then to Green Bay, now to Miami as the head coach of the Miami Dolphins. So there's 2 more jobs that have been filled there. Also, there was a report out there, and this is something that's interesting. You had a report that if Robert Saleh got another job, he would kind of be interested in Mike McDaniel being the offensive coordinator. Now, I know that's been a conversation with the Browns about making him the head coach. And, last week or 2 weeks ago, I really thought that I predicted that he would end up with the Cleveland Browns, Mike McDaniel. Whether or not that's a good or bad thing, that's all in the eye of the beholder. Do you think that that's still one? Do you still think that's true, too? Do you think that that is what has made this change with Jim Schwartz and with Grant Yudinsky here? That maybe a guy like Mike McDaniel would just go and be an offensive coordinator and build up his own market again as a hot commodity? Because you get 2 chances to be a head coach in the NFL in a lot of cases, but you usually don't get 3. So you kind of got to be careful with the next job you take.
Well, so you'd think he'd probably, and I don't know for sure because it was a rough first half of his season, but you'd think you'd probably choose, like if you're looking at quarterbacks, right? And you're saying what? That McDaniel would be the OC in where? Tennessee. Then he'd be picking Cam Ward. Because if Cam Ward has one really good year next year, huge sophomore step ahead, then he would be up for head coaching jobs again.
You would. And that he would have.
You'd say that in Cleveland too, but he'd be looking at Cleveland going, who's the quarterback? And okay, Shador's there, but obviously.
But I think that they're looking at this. If we're getting turned down for anything, I don't think it's only because, and the things that's bothering me is that, Shador is keeping away guy. I don't think Shador stops anybody from coming here. I don't think that the quarterback room in general stops anybody from coming here, except when you look at what they can do in 2026. And what they can do in 2026, I don't think that they can really do much. And so I think a lot of coaches that they are interviewing knows that, yeah, you'll have an open mind, but by the end of the first year, you're probably not going to win a lot of games, and the fans are already going to be mad at you. Like, you could just restart some of the conversation that we just got done having with the old coach, with the new coach, because very few people are going to be understanding of winning or understanding of losing in year one as an NFL head coach. And whoever comes in, I don't expect them to win more than 5 or 6 games. That's not a good record. So that means people are going to be mad. And that means on a Monday, as understanding as I sound right now in January, yeah, there's going to be some Mondays where I'm red-faced and mad and angry and you're winding me up and doing all those things. Yeah, we'll do that. And that's what that coach knows going, well, you're already starting me behind this, that, and the other, and I got to do some other things here, and we just can't guarantee that we're going to be able to get another quarterback. Now, I ain't never going to be the head coach for the Browns, so I don't give a damn other than just trying to get better for a extended period of time and have some consistent success. That's why I'm over here going, no, I'm not making any of these crazy decisions just to get rid of our quarterbacks in our quarterback room for this coming year when I don't think they're going to be very good investments in the future. I don't.
Now, does it matter to Browns fans at all? Like, you're looking at the pool of candidates that are rumored or have interviewed once or twice or whatever, and that some of the preliminary guys that we were automatically linked to, it looks like either said thanks but no thanks, or we didn't interview for whatever reason, meaning, Chris Shulo was one of them. Kubiak was another. Clint, right?
Yes.
Clint Kubiak. Hafley was another one that was linked directly to us. Once the season ended and Stifansky was shown the door, and it looked like we didn't even end up interviewing those guys. Does that matter to Browns fans at all?
I think it should. I mean, it shows you. I didn't say it was a very desirable job. It shows you where the job is. If they're not willing to meet with you, so that changes what your expectations are in terms of the coach. That's why I think that maybe Grant Udinski has kind of shot up the ladder here for a lot of people, because it's like, hey, he's 30, and I spelled it out. If you're 30 and you end up sucking up the room with the Browns, say you're 32 or 33 at the end of it, your career's not over.
No.
You've just made a lot of money. You'll go be an OC. Now, you've never called plays before, so I don't know how that works. It's not like, are they going to put you in charge of calling plays somewhere else? But you can still be a head coach again, probably by the time you're 40. Probably by the time you're that old. And you can make a lot of money doing this. But there's so many things that are stacked against you because you need to have a good support system. Do we trust the Browns have a good support system? Can I say that with a straight face?
I have one more does it matter to you question.
Yeah.
Does it matter to you that Grant Udinski is not interviewing or has not been reported to interview anywhere else? 30 years old, has never called plays, and you're the only team interviewing him.
I think that my natural fear of being a Browns fan, yes, that would matter to me.
I just wonder. I wonder if it bothers the fans at all.
I would look at a lot of people where people were giving me hell over Udinski, and I go, guys, like, you outbid the Giants for Hugh Jackson. Now, they didn't have a lot of talent on that football team, but I didn't think Hugh Jackson was a good football coach either. So you outbid him. I mean, they brought him in. Everybody clapped. They showed him getting off the plane. I mean, it was like Elvis had arrived on this football team, and they won 3 games with him over 3 years. So we can, and part of that, he can blame whoever else he wants. Part of that was definitely on him. So we've celebrated outbidding for coaches before. It doesn't mean that he's going to be set up for failure. I do think it's a little bit early, but if they're going, hey, if it's a little bit early and he's going to be a head coach next year, the year after that, the year after that, why am I hiring a guy who just might have more experience if I don't believe in him as much as I believe in this guy? Like, it might be time to think outside the box. I'm just looking at where the job sits in terms of how attractive it is. How many jobs are still left open? The Raiders' job's still open. Well, you have the number 1 overall pick there, and that guy played pretty decent last night. So that's obviously a worse job or a better job than ours. Who else is still open? Who can I think of off the top of my head that's still open right now? Owen, who else is open? I got us,
Ravens,
the Steelers.
Bills, Steelers.
Okay, Ravens
Raiders,
and
Cards.
Steelers and Bills. Okay, those are all better situations than what we have right now. Steelers is arguable, but then you're going to talk about your support system where you're going to go there and you're going to get 4 years before you even start to get judged. This ain't a great spot, man. And that's part of the way it's like it does, because it's not a great spot. It should make me go away from Udinski, but I'm going, who am I going to get that I can get excited about other than Jim? So it leads you to a 60-year-old, 59-year-old defensive coordinator and a 30-year-old OC. You are on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. I'm looking at guys who fans can get behind. Not just, I mean, you want him to be a good coach, obviously, but I also do want fans to be a little bit excited about the next guy that they're getting, don't you? I don't want to sit here and have to take nasty calls all day.
And I think, look, if they hire Udinski, people will act excited because the hope is that they have the next McVay. But I think in the back of their minds, they know this is a huge swing.
Yeah.
This is a very risky hire.
But it would also be, if you took Jim Schwartz, you could look at it this way too. If you just said, okay, Jim Schwartz, we've interviewed everybody. Jim Schwartz is going to be the head coach. You could be looking at this in the middle of September next year, the middle of October, I should say. You can give it a little bit of time and go, it's more of the same. It's just more of the same than what we've already had. So when it comes to a coaching search, I'm just trying to look at it as realistic as I possibly can. It's not the best job out there. It's still an NFL head coaching job. I don't think it's a horrific job. I think that the Haslams will do everything they can to be patient with you. I just think you look at what it is. You have a quarterback room that's not the best. It's not easy to make moves for them. You have a roster that's not very great. You have to build. You probably have to build through the draft. It's going to take more time. You're going to put me behind the 8 ball with the fans. You're going to put me behind the 8 ball with the media here. If I have better options, I'm going to take the better options. Now, Grant Udinski, this is the fast track to life-changing money. This is the fast track from being a guy who helps out Liam Cohen, who definitely has his hands in everything with the Jacksonville Jaguars and is very meticulous on that offense, to now you're the one in charge. And that is a scary scenario to a lot of folks. Scary scenario. Like, whoever they take, it's if they took Mike McDaniel, you'd understand it. I think there'd be some people upset about it, but you go, okay, he's the least offensive guy to the fan base, to themselves. He's schemed up running games before. You need to have a run game here. Maybe that'll be a little bit better. Maybe it'll be okay. Jim Schwartz, I think Jim Schwartz would be a guy who a lot of fans are excited about because he's led your defense. Your defense has been good. Grant Udinski, I think I'd be excited about him because he's young, because it might be fresh ideas. It also, without a doubt, Tone, has the highest chance to be turning into a nightmare for you. 216-474-0092. Can I bring up something with you when we come back? Mm-hmm. You have argued this for years, and I've agreed with you for years about this point. Considering the conversations we had this morning, I think I might have to do a flip-flop with you on one point you've been saying for well over a decade. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on The Fan. Extend Technologies in Broadview Heights. XTENDAV.com. bad pro, 76.9% say good.
I'm surprised.
But the people who
it's
say
that
bad,
high.
they are writing why they think he's bad. They are putting it out there why they think he's going to be bad. You're surprised it's that high?
I'm surprised it's that high because I see how reactionary people are. And when you're watching the last game of the season, and in national championships, we've seen guys light it up. And that was not that. That was played like an NFL playoff game. Like a cold NFL playoff game, even though it wasn't cold down there.
Yeah.
Like the stats were not impressive at all. In fact, I think EPA per play, Indiana was worse than Miami.
He threw for like 180.
Yesterday.
No touchdowns, no picks. Ran for the touchdown, obviously. Like, yeah, it was you had to mud it up.
No time to throw.
Well, Indiana, he said at halftime, he goes, we can't block them. Like, Cignetti openly admitted, and if you saw, their tackles were getting so abused, and then their guards started getting abused, and it's like, oh, yeah, they're just going to get rid of the football. They're going to run. They're going to manage this game because they had a lead. And that's what they did.
Let me get to Josh Coshocton. He's been more than patient. Josh, you're next up on the Fan. Hello.
Morning, boys.
Hello?
Hey, good morning, boys.
Josh, are you on speaker?
Yeah, sorry, I'm driving a truck. Put my earbud in. Sorry, I'm driving a truck. I just put my earbud in.
All right, go ahead, Josh. Go ahead.
All right, so I get it. Mendoza's the Heisman winner. He's the number one quarterback in this class. But like last year, everybody was saying, you got the number two pick in a the number two pick in a one quarterback class. I think this is a no quarterback class. I think if Mendoza would have been coming out in the 24 draft, which was actually a good quarterback class, he would have been picked right around when J.J. McCarthy was picked or after. If I'm spending a top 5 pick on a guy, I'm glad we lost those 2 games, because if I'm spending a top 5 pick on a guy, I need a superstar. I need a guy who is going to be the reason that I'm going to the playoffs,
Well,
I'm going deep into the playoffs.
Who would you have labeled? Josh, who would you have labeled superstars over the last 5 years?
Jaden Daniels, Drake May. I think both of those are going to be superstars. Caleb Williams.
Not everybody was saying that about those guys.
They were
though.
not saying that at those times.
That's the thing.
Man.
I think we're thinking of them now.
Okay, yeah, I can see that point. I can see that point. But my thing with Mendoza is, like, at least those guys, they had at least one elite trait, each of them. Mendoza, when I look at him, he has 0. He doesn't have a great arm. He's not super athletic. He's not like this big, leader guy that you think of. You know what I mean?
I think he is absolutely a leader guy.
You see him stepping into an NFL locker room and leading 52 other.
I think his team is older than some of the playoff teams this year, like the starters. Like they are grown men on that team.
I just don't see that personality. I mean, I don't know. I don't see that personality being able to step into an NFL locker room full of pros and their livelihoods on the line, their children, their families' livelihoods on the line.
The only
way believe that this guy is going to be the guy that's going to, take them to where they need to go.
The only way I don't think he could. The only way I don't think he could is if he's completely a fake. I mean, if you're calling him a fake, if you think it's all fake, then they'll figure that out real quick. Because he might just be better than some. Well, if he's not a fake, then I don't think that's going to bother him. If they know he's real and how he is, they'll accept him for what he is, as long as he's playing good football.
Okay, I mean, yeah, I could see that, I guess, too. And I will say on the record, I am a Shedeur fan. I'm not a Shedorian or a prime sexual or whatever the hell everybody calls him nowadays. But I do like Shedeur. I do think that he could be something if you give him a little more time, a little more opportunity than what he had last year. But I mean, I'm not sold. I'm not sold on the guy. Just like I'm not sold on Mendoza.
Josh, he should get. Thank you for the call. He should get more time, because I'm not willing to do anything crazy to go out and replace him, unless the deal is good enough to do. If we're talking CJ Stroud, again, I got to give up a first-round pick and I got to pay the guy. Boy, that's a lot, and not a lot of people have a lot of faith in that guy, man. Gosh, that's a lot. I want to get a guy who I feel very passionate about. And I don't feel very passionate about some of the other. I don't know why I'm saying patient funny like that, but I just don't feel passionate about any of the other ones out there.
The elite trait thing, I do think his ability to get rid of the ball fast with accuracy is an elite trait. I think there's a bunch of guys in the NFL that miss layups. He does not miss layups.
I agree.
Caleb Williams, by the way, misses layups. Shedeur misses layups, even with those high percentages in college. You saw last year, missed a ton of layups.
I think he processes.
This guy does not miss layups. That back shoulder throw, too, is NFL ready right now.
I think he processes very quickly. I think that he understands what defenses are covering him and what adjustments he needs to make very quickly. And I think that that's more than half the battle with a lot of guys, because he is experienced enough that he's seen a lot and he's able to make adjustments. A lot of these guys are not able to make adjustments.
Now, I think
they're not able to do it. He's been able to adjust.
It's funny because so much is said about, he's on the perfect team for him. The funny thing is, you would never look at Fernando Mendoza and go, RPOs out of the shotgun 100% of the time. You would never say that. This is not really the offense that you would use to demonstrate a lot of what he does, because he's not really a huge threat in that, but they're kind of smart in how they manage that offensively, and it's why his accuracy is such a weapon that if he sees that linebacker slipping too far and losing his keys, boom, he will make you pay on those seam routes. He's done it all year, and a lot of you just got to know him this year. And I'll admit, I wasn't watching a ton of him at Cal, but Todd McShay, Daniel Jeremiah said he would have been a first-round pick last year after his year at Cal. So some people were high on him, and remember, he was he was arguably the number one portal quarterback, and he got paid like it. So, yeah, the people that don't really follow college football, they don't know that, but the people in the sport, they took him very seriously coming out of Cal.
Jack in Florida, listening on the free Odyssey app. You're next up on the Fan. Hello, Jack.
Hey, guys, I'm here to tell you why you guys should keep the quarterback room that you currently have going into next season. Because it just doesn't make any sense for you guys to go out there and give draft capital for Mac Jones or go pay Malik Willis $50 million for what? For what? You're not going to be competitive next season. You're not going to beat Joe Burrow. You're not going to beat Lamar Jackson. You're not going to the playoffs. So you're going to go and mortgage your future a little bit more so you can raise your floor.
Well, that's the expectation. If you make any of those, investments, you have to be a playoff team next year. And
you're not going to be a playoff team if we're talking seriously. So you're going to raise the floor, out of position to draft a quarterback next year.
Well, no, wait a second. Let me ask you.
I happen to agree.
You're adding to the offensive line anyway. You're adding to the wide receiver room.
How are we adding?
In the draft. I mean, you still have, 10 picks in this draft?
Okay, so I'm giving up a first. Wait a minute. I'm giving up my back end first.
You're not giving up 8 picks to go get.
Okay, but I'm giving up my back end first for CJ Stroud under the guys yesterday, under what they were saying yesterday.
Malik Willis is just the money.
Okay,
right?
Malik Willis is just money, obviously, yes.
So you'd have all your picks.
I want to make sure I can afford MJ Emerson as well.
Now, the other part of this is.
Wait a minute. Do you believe that
this defense right now is just as good as the defenses that I have seen all throughout the playoffs?
You believe that Malik Willis is going to take this team to the playoffs next year?
No, we've seen very few games of Malik Willis, just like we've seen very few games of Shedeur. Malik's been better than Shedeur. That's not even debatable.
You're not paying anything for Shedeur Sanders right now.
Right, and you got what you paid for. You got the worst quarterback in the NFL this year. You got exactly what you paid for.
Well, Jack, now you got me setting sail over here. Thank you very much for the call. Now I'm a little bit agitated here.
Well, why are you agitated?
Because
what's to get mad about?
Well, you just assume we're going to get that wide receiver. We're going to get that offensive lineman. Yeah. If it's Mac Jones, yes, I can probably keep my two first round picks. If it is CJ Stroud, is not a real conversation. I don't think they're getting rid of him.
We were just talking hypothetically.
Let's go down what you guys were saying yesterday. If I'm giving up my back end first round pick, okay, that goes my fish in a barrel when it comes to Andrew Berry and when it comes to wide receivers, because my back end first round pick, maybe that's a wide receiver, or you want to flip flop the offensive line, fine. But if you make any of those moves, caller's right. Josh in Florida is right. Or Jack in Florida is correct. You're making that move to go to the playoffs. And if you're saying Malik Willis just cost you money, yeah, Malik Willis just cost you money. I have faith that Malik Willis is just going to take us to the playoffs next year.
No,
I have faith that that's going to happen.
Do you have faith that Shedeur will?
No, but I don't think that I'm not making a bigger investment that they're going to
Kenny, why am I even watching the Browns next year? You guys are all telling me they're going to be terrible, that there's nothing they can do to improve the offense, and that the quarterback play, we can't be desperate, but yet it's not desperate to roll out the worst quarterback room in football next year.
I'm never going to get to the college football game that we wanted to get to.
That seems kind of desperate, just imagining that everything's going to get better next year.
Anthony, it's desperate and even dumber. Like this guy's a 5th round pick. If he works out, he works out. But if he doesn't, he's a 5th round pick. That's the way it goes. Okay. Well, I don't want to say that because then I'll get killed for saying that. He's a back end draft guy that if he works out, great. If he doesn't, fine. You want to invest in these guys that you just said, well, they're not going to get us to playoffs. You don't think that Malik Willis is going to give us the playoffs. So why am I giving up even money for him?
I mean, if Malik Willis played like he's played in his short stint as a starter in the NFL, yeah, they could make the playoffs. In the AFC North, Zach Taylor's the only coach left. You have Pittsburgh. They're interviewing Mike McCarthy tomorrow.
Malik Willis has started how many games?
What, 5, 6?
How many games? He started 6.
And
he started 6 games. That's an easy play. It's an easy way to hide a guy. If you really want to start, six games over 4 years, pretty easy to hide. So you say, well, if he's played as well as he's played 6 games.
Yeah.
He's played so I'm going to give him $50 million?
Kenny, you have to take chances on certain guys if you want to get a leg up on other teams if you don't feel your quarterback room is good enough.
You need to go.
Do you think our quarterback room is good enough to stand pat?
No.
Then why do you think it's crazy to survey the landscape around the NFL?
Because you're telling me to give up money and a guy that the only argument you're giving me is if he plays any bit like the 6 games he started over 4 years.
If 32 teams felt like you would, or 31, then nobody would pick up Malik Willis. So who picks him up? Who gets him?
31 other teams.
Who goes after him?
31 other teams are having a deeper conversation other than, you got to give me something to sell me on Malik Willis, Anthony. You have to give me an argument.
I've watched him play in games that matter, and he's been pretty good.
When did you watch him play in games that matter?
This year, he came in for Jordan Love this year against the Bears and played pretty damn well.
He started one game for Jordan Love.
And he came in relief in another game.
He started one game, and he came in relief. Great. So he came in a game.
So nobody should pick up Malik Willis, judging by your scouting.
That's not what I'm saying.
So then who does?
That's not what I'm saying.
You're not making any sense.
But your argument sucks.
So
that's the point I'm making.
So how do the Browns get better at quarterback?
So, hey, Malik
Willis.
What
is Ken Carman's argument?
Malik Willis.
You just told me the Browns are going to win 4 or 5 games with Shador next year.
I just want to make sure.
How do they get better at quarterback?
Anthony wants to hand him money.
Notice he's not answering.
No, because I'm going to make sure that everybody knows this.
Notice he's calling my idea dumb. His idea is sticking with Dylan Gabriel, Deshaun Watson, and the worst quarterback in modern history statistically.
Because everything Lima is arguing
that's a good idea. You guys heard it.
Because Anthony
Ken Carman said that's a good idea.
Because Anthony is obsessed with bots on the internet that he's arguing with.
I'm obsessed with
numbers. Willing to do anything to go on.
I look at numbers. What are you looking at?
I'll give you numbers.
What are you looking at?
I'll give you numbers. He came in 4 games. He came in 3 in spot duty, coming in for Jordan Love. So you come into games that they're getting ready for other quarterbacks and that they haven't seen a lot of you. So he's obviously played well enough. We can give up $50 million to the guy over 2 years and invest in him.
This is why you scout. This is why you have teams that scout.
We suck.
So,
this is why.
No, it isn't because we haven't done that.
Because God will, and I hope no one over there is listening.
We haven't done that. Instead, we pushed a 5th rounder to the top, and he played like the worst quarterback. Played worse than DTR. That's your idea? That's the smart idea Ken Carman came up with? What? Are you listening to yourself?
I want to go for I want to invest in somebody more worthwhile. You're giving me no argument for Malik Willis other than basically you hate Shador Sanders. That's the only argument you give me. Shador Sanders is so bad I can't have because you just want to have arguments with bots on the internet.
I'm arguing with you, and it's not a very good one for you. What starting quarterbacks are just available in the NFL? Which ones? You tell me.
Usually not very good ones.
Same thing as tackles, right?
Usually
a left
not
tackle
very
is never
good
available
ones.
in free agency.
Because
Why?
they're not. Because the ones that are available are not very good.
So then, how do the Browns get better at quarterback?
They're not going to get better at quarterback.
Why
this
do
year.
I go to a Browns game next year?
I don't know. I'm not a salesman.
And try selling that to Myles Garrett and Denzel Ward as their primes are passing them by. So that's the plan. That's the Ken Carman plan.
Myles Garrett just signed a lifetime contract.
And he's going to hate it here 3 weeks into next year.
Oh, I'm really concerned that he hates it here.
You say that, but you're going to be pretty upset.
No, I don't, because he plays his ass off. So as long as he's chasing records, he plays his ass off.
I think Ken's going to be mighty red on Mondays. If they're 0-3 and Myles Garrett is sitting by himself,
you guys
counting his sack totals.
You guys think I sound crazy now? If you think I sound crazy now, just imagine me trying to go out there and blaming Myles Garrett for any of this if he plays any bit like he did this last year. Could you imagine how stupid it would be that I blame Myles for that? But you're telling me to sell him on some... Myles doesn't have that right anymore to be upset about it. He signed on the dotted line and he plays his ass off, so I can't say anything about it. Now, can I? Here's your plan at quarterback. More of the same with Malik Willis. You might as well just throw in some more money into the quarterback room because it ain't going to change. He came in 3 games and then came in at the end of the season. Great.
So he's
awesome.
So wait a second. He's bad just because he's backing up Jordan Love.
His name isn't Shador Sanders. That's that. It's that simple.
Well, I've seen him play better than Shador. Simple. I think everybody would agree with that.
I don't believe you've actually seen him play.
Anybody with eyes has seen him play, and he's been better than Shador. But you're saying he can't possibly be better than our situation because he backed up Jordan Love? Was he supposed to beat out Jordan Love?
Our situation isn't a good one. So saying it's just better than our situation ain't making it any better. It's got to be much better. It's got to be much better.
Okay, would you rather have Mac Jones?
Because this is the case of what I'm doing. I'll listen to Mac Jones because this is what I'm trying to point out to you.
Bailey's happy, by the way, had just as good of numbers as some of these guys were talking about, too. Nobody's mentioning Bailey's happy.
Because you continuously don't want to pay. You keep bringing up. Do you want to put Bailey Zappi out there? You want to put Bailey Zappi out there?
I think
you say you want to put Bailey Zappi out there because of what you see on charts. I'll walk out of this room right now.
I think I'm telling you, I don't want to see that quarterback room that we trotted out there this year. I don't ever want to see that again.
I'm sorry, buddy.
And I think Browns
that's what
fans,
you're going to have to see.
I saw how many empty seats were there at the end of the season before the other teams took over our stadium. I don't think they want to see him either.
I'm not making some sort of crazy investment just to try to sell one more game of tickets because I don't think it's going to be any better. So that means you're still going to see the same empty seats at the end of the stadium.
$25 million a year for a quarterback, for a starting quarterback in the NFL is a crazy investment.
And you wouldn't even fill one of those seats at the end of the season. You wouldn't even follow them seats at the end of the season.
Good deal.
$25 million's on the lower end of the starting quarterbacks. That's a crazy investment.
But no, if I go into next year, this is where I'm at. I want to make the right investment. So if I go into next year with what I have, fine. And whatever happens, happens. And if I end up having a high draft pick out of it, then so be it. But if I get one of these guys, even for $50 million, which you're right, $25 million, that's nothing. You're right. I'm not mad about them giving Malik Willis, but I'm mad about the investment that comes with it. Because if it doesn't get me any closer to the playoffs, and I don't think it would, if the move doesn't get me any closer to the playoffs, then I'm still stuck in mud.
I think average quarterback with this defense gets you in the playoffs next year.
Do you really believe that he's going to be average based on the 4 games that he played in, the one start he had?
I mean, this is what scouting's all about. It's like, do you really think college quarterbacks are going to help you? It's what you scout for. It's
Obviously,
why you do
would
it.
see a higher ceiling with some of the guys in college.
And has he had pretty good developmental coaches with him? Okay. Has he had pretty good developmental coaches in Green Bay? Do you believe in their operations out there in Green Bay? Seems to be pretty functional.
Is it?
I mean, if the minute their coach, if he were to get fired, we were talking about trading for him.
I wasn't talking about trading for him. No, TA was talking about trading for him.
It's absolutely been a conversation around the NFL if they can't work out an extension.
All right.
So let's not act like they've had some terrible operation in Green Bay.
I'll get to you guys. 216-474-0092. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, live on the Fan. Oh, friends, Ken Carman here for K&K Heating and Cooling. Sorry, I was mad. You know what I'm not mad about? K&K Heating and Cooling. They take care of Dropping F-bombs on each other, use the rewind feature on the free Odyssey app, powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration. Getting hammered online, as I thought I would.
Really?
Yeah, of course. Of course I am.
I don't have a good gauge.
I knew
of
I
what,
would be.
I don't have a good gauge of what fans want right now.
All of a sudden, I didn't realize that all you guys became film mavens of Malik Willis. I will bet my firstborn son that you guys have not watched any Malik Willis the way you claim to be watching Malik Willis. Gino and everybody else on social media here. Which social media reactions are brought to you by?
Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
It's absolutely bizarre. So, listen, I don't want to go in with a bad situation at quarterback, but we're in the situation that we're in, and I'm not going to make a bad situation worse if I don't fully believe it. That's desperation. That's silliness. I'm not doing that. I'm not a guy who lost his job and now all of a sudden is just going to go rob a liquor store for the $600 to make my life a little bit more passable. I'm not going to risk all that and make it worse. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to try to do something that is eventually going to pan out for this football team. That's what got us in this spot in the first place. Which I'll say this, guys. I accused you of just wanting to stop the Sanders talk, which I'm accusing a lot of people. I think they don't like the Sanders talk. They think he's a waste of time. And by the way, you guys are more than welcome to think he's a waste of time, because by all the charts, it shows he's a waste of time. Shows he's a waste of time. To the point where everybody just thinks I'm all like Jim Jones has come in and put his hand on me, and now I believe in Shedeur Sanders. I like Shedeur Sanders, but I think he's only as good as probably his next start, which is next year. So I'll say it about a QB that I'm not a fan of. I never wanted Deshaun Watson. I never wanted him here. You can go ahead and look. You can go ahead and check all the archives. I never wanted him on this football team, and I damn sure didn't want to give up 3 first-round picks and all the money, even though the money is inconsequential to me because it ain't mine. But I certainly never want to give up 3 first-round picks for the guy. Go ahead and put him out there instead of silliness like some of the stuff that we're saying here. Now, somebody brought up if the new head coach wants Malik Willis that bad. Okay, maybe the new head coach has done his due diligence about Malik Willis. That's perfectly fine. Go right on ahead and do it. Go right on ahead, because they're the ones who are looking at it. But if I'm going on, well, it's 4 appearances, 1 start just this last year. If he plays anything like, well, yeah, he could play better than what the Browns have played at quarterback, because the Browns quarterback play has been really, 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 really bad for 2 years. But just better than what we have is just going to get us to 6 wins, because we don't have a great football team.
Yeah, you asked me point blank, like, what I thought of Malik Willis, and I'm just like, I'm not a scout, not an NFL scout at all. I've seen him come in some high leverage situations, and he played really well. It was at Chicago. That game was awesome that he came in. He went 9 of 11, 121 yards. He rushed for 44. Then Baltimore, 18 of 21. He put up, in those games, he also rushed for 60 yards, 288 yards passing. Like, he has made the most of very limited opportunities. It's why... he's got a market. Most guys that only start a few games don't have a market.
How do you bring it out of me? I didn't get red-faced with Daryl last week.
No, not at all.
No, I challenged him. Were you there? Oh, it got kind of, yeah, you weren't here Friday. It got kind of touchy with Daryl and I last Friday. And then he had to fill in for me yesterday. I'm sorry, Daryl. Thank you very much.
Then
Daryl wins in the end. Yeah. How do you get me so mad? I promised I wasn't going to get red-faced in 2026. Here I was. January 20th, red-faced screaming at you.
Knock it off. Not in the mood for that today.
Which one you want me to take,
I don't know.
Tone?
They're all good. Go to any of them.
Evan on the road. Hello, Evan.
Hello, Evan.
Evan.
Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan. Hello, Evan.
Hey, guys. How's it going?
Not terrible. Go ahead.
I think Shador's fine. He's got a couple of throws that he's got the deep ball and he's got a swing screen pass. I'd like to see him get a little opportunity. I'd like to see him with a better offensive line, better wide receivers. He won 3 games. I know he wasn't great, but he was a rookie. He's not supposed to be great. He's supposed to get improving in the second year. Maybe you win 7, 8 games, and if you give him another chance after that, maybe you can compete for a division. I just want Lima to know there are fans that like him. Thank you.
Well, there are. Listen, I like him. Do I trust him enough to hand the keys over to the franchise? No.
Yeah, me and you like him more than Dylan Gabriel, and at this stage, Deshaun Watson after how many surgeries. But he needs some competition. You can't just give him the job and say, well, we're going to have a better offensive line, better coaching, better receivers. Like that. That's not how this works. You have to believe in a guy. And do they in the building believe in him? That's very different from, hey, let's help out a rookie who had a rough first stretch. Like, then you would just give every rookie 2 years. And that's not how this, especially fifth rounders, that's not how it works.
I'm looking at this year. I can only be honest. And it's crazy. And I guess the 2026 ain't going to be a great year for me because I'm usually a pom-pom waving guy about this. You're stuck. Who trusts Andrew Berry out there? Any of you? Anybody? Tumbleweeds are going through the studio. You guys don't trust him. Okay, it's up to him to prove that he can add talent to this football team. And I do not want to entrust him. And if he adds more talent to the football team, yes, there will be a little bit more trust. But I don't trust him to go out and make a move for that most important position. And if I don't trust him to go out there and make a move for that most important position, I'm telling you how I see this all playing out. Is that you're going to win 5 or 6 games. He'll get blown out next year. If you have a young coach like Grant Yudinsky, then maybe he doesn't get blown out and we see where it goes here. But I am in protectionist mode. And if that makes me a great big scaredy cat, then fine. I've never used the term scaredy cat on the air. If I'm a big fraidy cat, well, then fine. Because I'm not making this situation any worse. I mean, good God, some of the crap that's been thrown out there over the years, the type of quarterbacks you guys have had to try to talk yourselves into over these last 14 years. Come on, isn't that embarrassing? Some of the names have been floated out. I mean, no offense to Jeff. I'm not calling Jeff an embarrassment. The whole Jake Locker crap for years. I mean, how many names have been thrown out like that? You're going, what are we doing? What's the point? What's the point? So I'm not going to make a great big investment in any one of these guys if I don't believe in them. You hear me? I'm saying the same thing, and I'll get just as mad. I'll try not to get red-faced. That's my resolution. But I'll be just as mad over Ty Simpson debates at the end of the first round. I'll be even more afraid of that. Malik Willis is just $50 million. $50 million ain't nothing. Fine, give him money. I don't care how well he lives. But if we're talking about Ty Simpson, that's a first-round pick. That's a 5th year. That's all that other, and I don't believe in the guy.
Does it put in perspective if I told you Mike Tomlin made $25 million a year?
Yeah, it does. No, it does. I'm serious. It's the same thing with John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh's going to get $20 million a year. So honestly, that much doesn't matter, but I know that comes with an investment. And if I don't believe in the guy, then it ain't my money, and I don't care. But if there's that much of an investment in it, that means that they're going to push as far as they can to make sure that he works because of the investment that they've made in him. Let me try to get one more real quick here. Gerald in Wheeling, West Virginia. Go. Quick. Go.
Hey, anyway, so I don't think the Browns are as desperate to win big next year. I think they're going to use all them picks, just try to load up with offensive talent. I don't think they're as desperate for a quarterback as the fans seem to be in some of the media. And I don't be surprised if they roll out the same quarterback room. Barry doesn't get rid of his own draft picks. And I won't be surprised in the summer if you hear how intense the QB battles between Deshaun and Shador are. And anyway, I don't think we're going to have a good season. Who knows? Thank you, guys. Gerald, thank you very much for the call. Yeah, I think you kind of got to grind it out until you get out from under it, which is not a great sales pitch. I get that, man. I get it. But I'm holding out for something more, not this. I mean, you and I just basically just got fighting in a dumpster for bread heels is what you and I just did.
We've done it before. A.J. McCarron, remember that?
I'm telling you, we'll end up doing it again if we continue down this trap. Coming up next, Sam Monson. Maybe Sam's going to disagree. I know Sam's watching tape. You can guarantee yourself that. Sam Monson, check the Mike Pod with Steve Palazzolo. Do they have to change the QB room no matter what? Does that include Malik Willis? Does that maybe include Ty Simpson, the guys that I'm like, no? We'll find out next. Sam Monson joins us on the show. Take us with you to work on the absolutely free Odyssey app. Watch us at work on YouTube Live, also absolutely free. Love is free, but the wedding rings aren't. The engagement rings are. But then it doesn't mean you have to pay a whole bunch of money and an arm and a leg. You can get service. You can get savings. You can get it all in one place. And that's Peter & Company Jewelers in Avon Lake. PeterJewelers.com. Folks,
for the greatest hits, July 21st, Blossom Music Center, part of the Minutemen Workforce Solutions Concert Series. Tickets on sale Friday, January 23rd at 10 a.m. LiveNation.com. Again, Hurt, H-U-R-T, at 923thefan.com.
Let's welcome in Sam Monson. He's on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. He hosts the show with Steve Palazzolo. It's called the Check the Mic Pod. Hello, Sam.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Oh, not too terribly bad. Hey, if the Browns can go get Malik Willis, should they get Malik Willis?
I think Malik Willis is the most fascinating quarterback kind of this offseason cycle. He's a real X factor in this whole thing because he's looked fantastic since he got to Green Bay, and he'd been a disaster in Tennessee. I mean, he looked completely non-viable. He didn't look like he had any place in the NFL when we saw him early in his career. And then the Packers went and got him. Matt LaFleur worked his magic on him. And from that moment on, he's looked legitimately like he could be a decent starter going forward. And I have no idea what his contract would look like. I have no idea how much money he's going to get this offseason. But if I was a team in a tricky quarterback situation or, without an obvious pathway to Fernando Mendoza at number one overall, and I was looking for an answer at the position, Malik Willis is the guy I'd be interested in trying.
Well, obviously the Browns quarterback room right now is Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, Dylan Gabriel. And a lot of people have been advocating, hey, it was really bad statistically for Shedeur, but what's the harm in running it back with him as a starting quarterback making so little money as a fifth-round pick? How viable an option do you think that is? Because that's the easiest route to just do it, but it could also be really hard if you hire a 30-year-old head coach and Shedeur plays anything like he played last year, then that compromises a lot of what your plan is.
Yeah, I think it depends on the team's, appetite for that kind of season. I mean, you're right, it's easy to do. You just install Shedeur Sanders as the starter, you accept that next year is going to be really rough, and you plan for the following year's draft, which is supposed to be, significantly better at the quarterback position. Now, the caveat is that often looks the way a year out from the draft, and a lot can change in 12 months, and maybe you get to next year's draft, and it isn't as good as we thought it was going to be. So there's always a risk in doing that. But, yeah, it would be very easy, but teams don't tend to like, going into a season knowing it's going to be a disaster and it playing out that way. You could argue that's what the Browns did this year. I mean, they went in with Joe Flacco as the starter. That was never likely to last more than a few games. And then they were going to turn it over to the two rookies. And that's exactly what happened. The season went about as well as you would have expected. And that ended up getting Stifansky run out of the building. And here we are. So, they could do that, but I don't think that they're going to be particularly keen on having that kind of sacrificial season.
Yeah, you're right about that. So how would you do it if you were the Browns with this quarterback situation, 2026? Because it's like, Sam, it's not a good QB room. I'm not saying it's a good QB room, and I don't know if Shedeur Sanders is the future, and I feel very strongly that Deshaun Watson and Dylan Gabriel aren't. But I'm like, man, we've already made one crazy decision to bring in a guy, and it's backfired. I don't want to double down or even come close to any of that stuff. I kind of want to start fresh with somebody else if we're going to do it.
Yeah, look, I mean, the first thing I would do is they have multiple first-round picks this year. They set themselves up for this year. I would at least be calling up the Raiders and finding out if they're open to moving out of that number one overall pick. That's why you have that extra ammunition. You've got the kind of trade collateral that you could make a move like that if you wanted to do it. But obviously it depends. The Raiders might be dead set on Fernando Mendoza and want no part of moving out of that pick, and it's just not on the table. But if it is, I think it's absolutely a thing that you should consider, jumping up to number one overall to make that trade. If it's not an option at all, then yeah, look, I think Malik Willis is a really intriguing option because he's the guy that has shown, albeit in a really small sample size, like high-end ability. He's got an incredible arm. He's got elite athleticism. And the thing that changed in Green Bay is he showed he can process. He can work through progression. He can deliver the ball accurately, not necessarily just to one read and run. So, that contract would be an interesting one to get done. If I'm Malik Willis's agent, the absolute minimum you're looking for is the Justin Fields contract with the Jets, and probably more than that, but that's doable.
You mentioned, and we're talking to Sam Monson right now on the hotline, you mentioned Mendoza, and I saw a lot of mixed reviews from last night. You know how this works. A lot of casuals come in, just watch one game, and then that's the end of that quarterback if he's not putting up 400 yards and running all over the place. So what did you think? What's the honest evaluation of what you saw last night?
Yeah, I don't think last night was his best game by any stretch, but even in that circumstances, he made a couple of really big plays in the game. A couple of huge third downs, the run, obviously, that ended up being the go-ahead touchdown where he, powered his way through some guys, launched himself at the goal line. So, yeah, I don't think that was his best performance, but even within that, I think he still showed pretty impressive skills. He's accurate, he's a good processor, he's more athletic than people are going to give him credit for. Maybe he wouldn't be the number one quarterback in some draft classes, but I think he's by far the number one quarterback in this draft class. And, that's the critical element.
Why are quarterbacks struggling so much recently?
I'm not sure. I think we see this go in cycles. It's a difficult thing to do at any point in the NFL for these guys to come in, hit the ground running. And some guys are able to do it. Some guys just get it from day one. But it's a difficult jump. These NFL offenses are not simple. Defenses are fighting back. We're seeing the complexity and the difficulty that you have to deal with the kind of level of disguise that defenses are using right now, the post-snap rotation. It's a difficult ask, and it's going to take some time for a lot of young quarterbacks.
All right, you're mentioning those young quarterbacks. The way the NFL looks, I tried to start out the week yesterday, and this is normally not my role on the show, but I came on yesterday, and I'm like, maybe the Browns aren't as far away because I thought their defense was just as good as the defenses I saw over the last few weeks in the NFL playoffs. And you only need like 3 drives in some of these games to be able to win. What is it right now about the state of affairs in the NFL that these defenses all are just, especially the defensive lines, are just crushing up front these offensive lines? Has something materially changed in the NFL?
Yeah, I think the last few years, defenses have been fighting back and have been in the ascendancy and kind of growing in the level of the balance of power versus offenses. You're seeing nothing is necessarily revolutionary new. We haven't discovered any kind of dramatic defense that just completely changed the whole balance of power. But I think collectively defensive coaches are getting better at blending, these disguise looks on the back end with everything they're doing up front, sort of simulated pressures, which are effectively just repackaged old school zone blitz type stuff. But they're just getting much more sophisticated with blending it all together, making it difficult to diagnose pre-snap for offenses, and just sort of forcing quarterbacks and offensive coaches to be on the defensive. Defenses used to be reactive and reacting and changing to everything that the offense was showing them. And the real shift in the last few years is they've fought back and decided, no, we're going to go on the attack. We're going to show them different things and force the offense to react, not vice versa.
Sam Monson joining us, co-host of the Check the Mic pod with Steve Palazzolo. All right, have you been asked about Ty Simpson much?
No.
What would you think of him? Because I have an aversion to him, and I'm going, oh, God, we have 2 first-round picks, and if he were to come out, obviously, like that's something that people would want.
Yeah, it's not that he can't be good, but it's a really, really rough list of guys that have come into the league with that level of inexperience. It's a particularly curious decision for him, given the landscape in the college world at the moment. It's skewing in the opposite direction. We're going to see more and more guys coming into the league with crazy amounts of experience because the incentive is to stay in college now. It's, get paid, take the NIL money, transfer to a different school, a better school in a lot of instances. Obviously, he's unlikely to do that at Alabama, but you're going to see more and more of these guys come into the league with Bo Nix, Dylan Gabriel levels of experience rather than, these single or double digit, 15 starts under his belt the way Ty Simpson is going to come into the league. So it's not that he can't be successful, but it is just a crazy small list of guys that have had that level of inexperience and been good. And the NFL has never been less equipped to develop these guys. It's not a place to try and learn unless you find a team like the Green Bay Packers who, have done it multiple times now in their sort of succession plan of drafting a quarterback, sitting him for multiple years behind an established starter and doing it that way. I think it's a very risky thing for Ty Simpson to come into the NFL now.
So I saw you on social media yesterday. I can't imagine you think that highly of this guy's old boss, but let me ask you about this guy, Sean McDermott. Is that a guy that the Browns should be rushing out to go try to bring in?
Yeah, I think Sean McDermott should be, one of the most attractive head coaching candidates this offseason. I mean, nobody looked at the Bills this year or most years and said this is a coaching failure. Like, this is a team that is not getting it done at the critical time because of their coaching failures. McDermott's record pretty much speaks for itself in terms of, win rate, perennial success with this team. I think the issues that they've got in Buffalo, and there aren't many of them. I mean, it's been a good team every single year. The issues that they've got are more personnel than they are coaching driven. The only caveat would be, I think Buffalo is trying to put out the message now that McDermott had more of a say in terms of personnel than people thought he did. And so that's why he's been on the chopping block rather than Brandon Beane, the GM. I don't know if that's true or not, or if that's just the spin that's being put out there now. But in terms of just a coach, yeah, I think absolutely McDermott should be one of the first guys on the list if you're looking for a head coach right now.
There seems to be this fascination. People are enamored with clips online when they see some of these young, upstart potential head coaches talk football. And what I laugh about is anybody who's actually covered the league knows there's hundreds of guys that can do that. Yet fans get excited because these guys haven't failed yet. They haven't failed as necessarily calling plays. Like Grant Udinski seems to be right now in the pole position for the Browns head coaching job, and his first coaching job ever was in 2019. And he's never called plays. How do you differentiate with candidates who's really good at talking and who's really good at actually leading and being able to kind of command that respect when coaching a football team?
Yeah, that's the funny thing about this every year is, we get asked all the time, like, who's a good candidate, who's a good head coach? Nobody knows. Like, nobody, even the teams hiring them. It's for number one, you don't get to see most of the important parts of being a head coach. So from the outside, it's basically impossible to know who's a good head coach without seeing them do it. And then number two, the head coaching job is so many different things. And, the X's and O's part of it, as you said, it's a pretty small part of the job. You've got to lead an entire team full of people. You've got to delegate to people. You've got to be able to hire, competent assistants, and that's a big part of it as well. The whole thing is extremely difficult to put together. It's sort of several jobs all rolled into one, most of which you don't really get to see from the outside. So, yeah, obviously you want the guy to be a smart football mind and someone that you have confidence in, knowing what he's doing and, having a good scheme at the basis or as the foundation of everything he's doing. But whether or not he's going to be a good head coach is 15 other things that you're going to try and get to the bottom of in the day-long interview that these guys are having in a lot of these programs. So I think that's the big thing is that's why, these interviews are so important. It's why they take such a long time. You're trying to get to everything you can possibly think of in terms of how is he going to handle this situation? What is your plan for this? And from the outside, it's all guesswork.
Sam Monson joining us on the show. I got a couple more for you. One, how attractive is the Browns' job compared to the others?
I think it's reasonably attractive. I think generally Andrew Berry is seen in pretty high standing throughout the NFL. It's always tough from the outside because, we don't know really who the driving force behind the Deshaun Watson thing was, right? If that was ownership, then I think you give Andrew Berry an awful lot of leeway to say, look, most of what he's done has been very good, and they've been absolutely hamstrung by I think, literally the worst single personnel move that's ever been made in the history of the NFL, the Deshaun Watson deal, when all is said and done. So if that wasn't him sort of forcing that or driving that, then you say, look, this is a good GM that's built this thing into a good situation multiple times already. And even if we've got some work to do, on the offensive line, some other areas, Andrew Berry's able to put this thing back together and all will be good. If Berry was the guy driving the Deshaun Watson thing, then it's a different conversation. And you're like, okay, sure, most of what he does is good. On the other hand, he's also made the worst mistake anybody's ever made. So that's a little bit more tricky. Obviously, it also comes down to what your read on the ownership is like. How trigger happy do we think that Haslam is going to be? Am I comfortable with the kind of runway I'm going to get to try and turn this thing around? But look, overall, I think there's some good pieces there. As soon as they get out from the Deshaun Watson contract, I think they'll have a lot of flexibility to build this thing in the right way. And then, I think generally it's a pretty solid job.
All right, finally from me, how well do you think Kevin Stefanski will do it in Atlanta?
It depends what he's able to make of Michael Penix. The Falcons, the previous staff that the Falcons had loved Michael Penix Jr. I don't know that other people do. In fact, most people, I think, did not. Certainly not to the degree that they did. So it really comes down to whether Stefanski, number one, what does he think about Michael Penix Jr., and B, what is he able to get out of him? Because if Michael Penix Jr. is not the guy and they have to start over, then this team doesn't have a quarterback, then all bets are off. We've already seen, Cleveland is a good example, but there's plenty of others as well, how hard it is to be good if you don't have a quarterback, or if you're trying to find one year on year on year. That colors everything. That changes what the head coach is able to do at all. So I think there's a lot of pieces there in Atlanta. I think the defense is in good shape, and I think they're smart to keep Jeff Ulbrich around if that's the route they're going to go. The offense is going to depend on the quarterback situation, whether they have one or whether they're looking.
If you were the Browns, would you trade for Michael Penix Jr.?
No, absolutely not right now, based off what we've seen. Look, he's got an arm, but he's injured, and there were major question marks before that.
Okay, I had to ask. All right, Sam Monson, follow him on Twitter at Sam Monson NFL, co-host of the Check the Mic pod with him and Steve Palazzolo. Sam, thank you very much for the time, friend.
Anytime, guys. Take it easy.
You as well, Sam Monson, joining us on the Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. So that's a notice to Michael Penix. Are we going to fight about Michael Penix later?
Two very different answers compared to Malik Willis.
All right, fine. We will throw that back at you. And can I finally argue this thing that I've agreed with you for over a decade, and now I think I might disagree with you on? Okay, it's coming up here in 5 minutes on The Fan.
Anthony Lima for Mentality.
Thanks to Sam Monson who just joined us. Before we get back into this, how many guys blurted out something about it, Bella Danger last night, and then had to go, sit on the couch?
You stole the show.
Because they show her on TV. You go, I know who that is.
Was the football not good enough for people that ended up being the takeaway for so many?
Well, it's just that very rarely do you see a well-known superstar of film be shown. I didn't know. I only saw her once. That was at the 640 something. It was right before he threw the touchdown. Carson Beck threw the touchdown. That was the only time I saw her. Apparently, she was being shown the whole night. She's a very fetching woman. And they like to show the student body. And she is a student at the University of Miami. Tough school to get into. And so I don't know. Again, nobody's clarified whether or not she's a grad or undergrad or graduate student. I just kind of wanted to know how many guys accidentally blurted something out and then kind of I heard about that person. Never have sampled.
I always wonder
you're quite confident and you just go, yeah, I've seen her. I've watched her. I've seen many of her films.
I feel like some of my buddies are in their comfort zone with their significant others that it's no problem.
That you just talk about something like that out in public?
Yeah.
Okay.
We should break down these walls. Come on.
We should?
Facilitate conversation.
Should we?
Truly know what our partner is into or what they want.
Hey, in all honesty, Lima didn't know who she was.
Yeah, I did not. I got to tell you, it's not for a lack of trying over the years. Like, I've definitely...
You've done your research.
I've definitely done my research. I've definitely seen a lot on my 85-inch TV.
Well, you remember the names of the ones you grew up with.
Yes.
That's
I just don't know any of the new names. It's like a lot of the influencers. Have seen them, don't really know who they are.
Well, she started her career in, I think, 2016, judging by the Wikipedia that I had to look up for you. So you were... we tend to remember the legends that we grew up with. Even if and it's the same thing. Like, even if they weren't legends, like everybody looks at like a Nina Hartley. It's like the same thing as Joe Montana. Like, it's the same... Like, you know what their greatness is. You know how great they were. But people always say, like, hey, every kid of the 90s has a mediocre baseball player that he was a big fan of. Glenn Allen Hill, Candy Maldonado, myself. And so there's always that knowledge of a starlet that might not be Nina Hartley or someone like that. A Sarah J., those types of legends. Lisa Ann... A Bella Danger for the younger generation? Like, she's only 30, but if you were a guy like Joey.
Yeah.
Joey's 23, right? Get Joey in here. See if Joey's listening, see if he'll come in here. Did he know exactly who he saw when they showed her?
I bet he would.
Joey, hurry up, get in here, turn the mic on. See, I don't know if now Joey's got a girlfriend, a serious girlfriend. I don't know if he's willing to
she
stay in this
doesn't
case.
listen.
She
You're
don't listen.
fine.
She ain't listening.
No,
to this.
she's not listening.
And
Okay.
nobody better rat them out. Come
Did
on, we're
you
just
know-
grown men having a conversation.
Don't put a video up.
Did you
about
know Did you know the starlet that they showed?
Absolutely.
You knew who it was?
I did. As soon as they showed her, all my group chats, my friends were. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Very popular.
And if we would have been watching like the Tommy Frazier National Championship game, and they would have shown Nina Hartley on the sidelines, if there was such thing as texting in those days, we would have been telling each other that we saw Nina Hartley. See, that's how that was. See, that's his generation.
That's what I want to know. How many college football personnel, coaches, assistants were immediately in the DMs last night? A lot of naughty boys out there.
That's hearsay.
Oh, yeah.
That's hearsay. Was she at? Well, she wasn't. Well, Indiana won, so she wasn't probably partying with Indiana, was she?
Well, did you see?
Well, you never know.
I don't know. Maybe she isn't going to turn down a good time in Miami, Florida.
Well, everybody was joking about Mendoza, and he's a, what do they say? Teetotaler? What's the phrase?
He's a teetotaler.
A teetotaler.
He don't drink.
Well, they went to a place that I'm very familiar with after the game, down in Miami. Place I believe I tried to do.
Wait, no, it's not Latub. What is it?
No, this
it's the
is
number 11. 11.
I think I tried to do a remote for you guys there once.
Didn't make it through. Connection was broken up.
What time was that here?
It's about 8:30 local time. When you called my cell phone and said, "Just put me on the air. Just put me on the air. I'm good. I'm good to go." not realizing that my cell phone does not patch right in.
I didn't know how that worked.
Yeah.
I don't know what the engineers have been working
on. In
on.
your defense, I would fully expect that if you were out today, you would still call my cell phone.
Yes, that's
as
true.
a father of two, just with the babies at home, and say, hey, put me on the air. And I would once again explain to you, that's not how that works.
That's great.
What time do you think Signetti got after it last night?
I hope he had more than a beer.
Yeah,
I
said
hope
he wanted
had
a beer.
all the beers.
I feel like he deserved them.
If you were Kurt Signetti, you would have to feel like you were the king of the universe.
This is crazy.
Does Kurt Signetti feel that he's the greatest coach who ever lived?
He has to.
He even said, I should probably retire. It would be a better story. But he said, I need the money.
There's only one place you can go from here. And gosh, if they end up turning in, God forbid, a 10-2 season, well, you were just a product of Fernando Mendoza. That's all. Even though most coaches are a product of their quarterback.
Do the Steelers have to at least give him a call? I mean, they're the team that famously went after a kid just because he played at Pitt and made him the quarterback and a first-round pick.
We're scouting quarterbacks real quick. When it comes to Abella Danger, is there another name we should be paying attention to, an up-and-comer?
Ooh, an up-and-comer. The Grant Udinsky
of
the film industry.
Tapped in as I once used to be, so kind of like how you guys are. I can't necessarily keep up with the.
Text your buddies.
He got
text your
cousins now.
Text your cousins. See what he says.
He probably have a better idea than I would.
Yeah. All right, get out of
Give
here,
us
Bob
a power
Guccione.
ranking. By
Thank
the
you
end
for
of the
your
show,
time.
we want a power ranking.
I love Joey.
We got to do some research. We need Corn Ferry to help us out with the search.
Can you imagine you're sitting there, you're 23 years old watching this game, your phone starts lighting up, you're sitting there going, I know my phone's lighting up, I got to get out of here. Get Corn Ferry on the search for the next great starlet.
That's Ferr.
What you were saying about... what you were saying...
Get Randy Buffington on the next search. Randy Buffington. Abella Danger. Backfield in motion.
Fernando. Fernando. His brother just entered the portal, by the way.
Oh, which, by the way, I said Alfredo earlier. It's Alberto.
Okay.
It's Alberto Mendoza. I accidentally said Alfredo. I meant Alberto.
You get your sauces and your backup younger brother QBs mixed up.
I got like Ozzie Canseco for the years. I was calling him Otto. I had no idea.
Bolognese, whatever his name is.
Bolognese. Yeah. All right. Now, going back to the quarterback thing. All right. Now, listen. What Sam is saying, and this is going to be an argument that we're having here because, guys, I know you guys don't want your time wasted. I'm just fighting against more time being wasted. Like some of these arguments that I'm getting, I just think it's like, guys, just take a second to look around. You got time. You got 4 months before the draft starts. You got 3 months, less than 3 months, but you have just over a couple months before the new league year starts. Like there's moves that can be made or not made or whatever. Do you want to make a move that you believe is really going to make you significantly better, or are you just wanting to get out of this situation? Because some of the arguments that I'm getting, like, hey, Malik Willis might end up being the next big thing. Or whoever gives them money, maybe it's the Dolphins because of Jeff Hafley, maybe they just give him $25 million a year, and he goes down there and he sucks up the room when he starts an entire season. And by the way, not during any of that argument did I ever bring up his rookie year. At least I don't think I did.
And he was abysmal. I mean, it was as bad as it was worse maybe than Shador's.
I'm looking at him for what he's just done. Like if Sam Darnold was available, do I really want to bring up Sam Darnold with the Jets as a reason and not bring in Sam Darnold to the Browns? Really? Like, so I'm not going to judge Malik Willis.
That's fair.
But I think he was. I mean, we were talking about him being a first rounder. It was a bizarre set of circumstances when it comes to Malik Willis. I'm not judging him by what he did. I'm just by what he did his rookie year. I'm judging by what we've recently seen, which still isn't much, and I'm judging by the investment that we're making. Because if you give him $50 million, the only thing I'm going to point out, it's money. It don't matter to me. If I can keep the draft picks and just give him the $50 million, whose hair off of whose ass is that really going to bother? Ain't going to bother anybody. But as I did clarify to somebody on social media, you give him $50 million over 2 years, there's no competition. He's your guy. He's your guy. There's no Shador could possibly start. No Deshaun could possibly start. None of it. He's your guy.
That's true. That is true.
And you might just want the clarity, and you might believe that strongly in Malik Willis, or we're just desperate to get away from what we have. And if we act desperately like we have before, how often has it actually worked out for us? Never. It's never. Acting desperately has never worked out for us. Ever.
I don't think anything's worked for us. I think desperate, not desperate, it all seems to land us in the same zone.
I mean, honestly,
bottom of the AFC North and having these same discussions.
No, you went to the playoffs twice. I mean, technically, if you really want to get technical about it, I mean, when people talk about the tanking thing, I don't like to tank and I don't want to tank, and it really didn't work out for you because the person that you always want back is the guy who took the third best quarterback in that draft. It would still be better than where we're at because to correct it, we made such a crazy decision that ended up costing us so much.
At least we didn't have all that rollover dead cap money just looming in our face every year.
I mean,
come on.
Always got to deal with that.
By the way, Monson was talking about, well, we have to know who was responsible for the Deshaun Watson trade. I went back and looked. PFF had Deshaun Watson as a top 5 quarterback like 3 or 4 years. I don't know if Sam remembers that.
216-474-0092.
I feel like we've all forgotten that, and rightfully so.
All right. It's finally going to happen. I promise this in 5 minutes. I've agreed with Lima on one thing for 14 years. I think I may disagree with him now. Ken Carman, Tone Master General on the Fan.
Pat Evans here to help you beat the
I've agreed with you for 14 years, and now I don't think I do. Based on the conversations we've been able to have today, it's probably better they play the College Football National Championship on a Monday. I actually agree with Keith. He's been trying to load my lips all morning, and I've been trying to ignore him.
You flipped.
Because in practice, it feels good. And I'm only, this is where I'm going to be selfish, judging by what we do. Sports talk radio. If they played that game on Friday night, I got all the playoffs and then yesterday and coaching search to get into. I would have forgotten. I would have forgotten all about Fernando Mendoza's speech, him dropping an F-bomb, him diving into the end zone. I would have forgotten all about his nearly broken arm. I would have forgotten all about Signetti. I would have forgotten all about Abella Danger on the sidelines, which now I'm getting Kay Parker and Honey Wilder tweets.
Ooh.
Those were the days, man. I like to do my history and my research. I wasn't alive for Kay Parker and Honey Wilder, but I like to look into the past.
Can you give me this data? I'll put it in chart form by the end of the show. We'll see where it is on the old x-axis.
I would have missed all of it. We could have had a great conversation Saturday morning about Kay Parker and Honey Wilder and Abella Danger and Sarah J. and Lisa Ann and Nina Hartley. Okay, I'm done. Could have had that conversation about all of them. Instead, we got to have them today. So I'm sure it wouldn't be rated higher than what it would be rated on a Friday or whatever. But I think for what we do, it's like, oh my God, there's this embarrassment of riches. Plus, it's one of the stories of the year, if not one of the greatest stories in college football history, that this team that was not even arguably somehow by the winning percentage, which I really thought there were worse programs out there other than Indiana over the last how many years. But they were the worst, and now they're the best in college football. And I'm sure there will be changes in college football to probably get rid of some of the loopholes that they were able to take advantage of. But this is incredible. And I just don't think if they would have played it on a Friday, we'd have been talking about it today.
I'll meet you halfway. You guys aren't wrong in that part of it.
Wow. That's what they like. You meet me halfway.
I do think the fact that there's no discussion on Friday, because it's all NFL, going into the weekend. And unfortunately, Monday, because of, and this is going to happen every year now, you're just going to have coaches fired. You're going to have playoff games to react to. There was no buzz generated outside of the places where college football is massive, right? Although I do wonder in the SEC if they were watching last night. I wonder if that was a tune-out. There have been years where, as an Ohio State fan, I've been like, well, I'm a college football fan. I have to watch. But halftime, it's late. I'm out of here, especially when they started the game at past 8 o'clock, 8:30. Last night, I think, ended at around 11:25, 11:30, I think is when it ended. It did not start till 7:52.
Yeah, because I remember looking at because I was talking to you on the phone yesterday. I was like, well, they started like 7:31, the one game. No, this was like almost 8 o'clock.
First quarter went quick, though.
Because of the way they played the game. Yeah,
they lucked out there.
Imagine if it were two teams throwing on every down, stoppages galore.
You didn't get the pregame discussion. The postgame, though, has been fantastic.
Yes, that's true. You did get that.
Even if Miami would have won the game, it's like, oh, my God, the U's back.
Yep.
And
by the way, they
Michael
are back.
Irvin
They are back.
Yeah. Well, I mean, either way,
they are 100% back. That coach knows exactly how to build it. Forget about, we could talk all the flash we want about Miami. They built it in the trenches. They're going to be good next year.
By the way,
spending a fortune.
Didn't he get canned at FIU? Was it FIU he got canned at?
Was it?
Mario Cristobal?
Yeah, I mean,
It was one of the FIU, FAU, one of the three-letter words down there. I thought it was Florida International he got canned at. I'm probably wrong. It's probably UC Davis.
Yeah, and then obviously the Oregon tenure as well.
Yes.
But they are absolutely back. Carson Beck, I thought they got the most out of him.
FIU.
I thought they got the most out of him humanly possible.
Good. Carson Beck?
Yes.
Totally agree.
He's got no arm. Like I had people texting me, well, where do you think he'll go in the draft? I'm like, maybe late second day, third day. He just doesn't have the arm. And you saw it with that interception. He just does. And he had time to throw a lot of those plays.
He changed. I thought he was, frankly, I thought he was an unserious idiot when I first ever saw him.
Kind of wasn't he?
I think he's more serious than ever, and he's changed that opinion. That said, I'm not like advocating for him to be taken even on Friday night. Not by this organization, anyway. Can I get one more thing off my chest here? It's. Oh, by the way, the Mendoza good or bad pro, 76.2% say that he's going to be a good pro. However, those against, I mean, they let me know their opinion on why they think he's going to be a bad pro. I heard Rex Ryan say that Bill Belichick should get the job for the Buffalo Bills. Can I just say that this is the most, of all the things that we've talked about with the head coaching job for the Cleveland Browns, I know he's mentioned the Bills, the Belichick conversation was not very serious and not very long. It's lowest common denominator garbage anymore. You saw the end of his tenure with the New England Patriots. You couldn't stop making fun of him with the UNC Tar Heels. And now we just want to – I cannot stand how every single job, it's just thrown out there, Belichick this, Belichick that. Have we not seen that this is at the end? Have we not seen that this is at the end? Like, I'm sure they'll throw money at the issue and they might win 8 games next year, 9 games next year. They're not going to do what Indiana did. He's not going to do what Curt Cignetti did. His best days are clearly behind him. And I'm sick and tired of every single job opening being out there that Bill Belichick's name gets brought up. That's in the past. He's a guy in his mid-70s. He's had a brilliant career. I hope he has fun at UNC. But if you're one of these other serious jobs out there, no. Not for the Cleveland Browns, not for the Buffalo Bills, not for the Buffalo Sabres, not for any of it. I'm tired of hearing about Bill Belichick. To me, it's just the first name that pops up in an old man head when they're asked an opinion about who should take over a job. Bill Belichick should take over that job? Who would be? Would you really be excited if Bill Belichick took over that job?
I would love the story.
You would love the story and talking about it, but you would not think it's successful. It's going to be successful.
Yeah, I think we all know where that would go.
Exactly.
And he doesn't get Josh McDaniels this time either.
I just wanted to get that off my chest. I've got a lot of respect for the work Bill Belichick did during his career, but we're done with this. We're done with this. Every single possibility. And I'm just thinking, if you really bring up Bill Belichick anymore, you're not paying attention. Or it's just something you blurted out when somebody put you on the spot when maybe you weren't paying attention to another conversation that they were having.
So, the job openings as of right now, Ravens, Bills, Steelers, Raiders, Cards, and then, of course, the Browns. Are we going to get a surprise name that none of us are talking about for these jobs? Is there a name right now that is not interviewed?
Bill Belichick.
Is there somebody out there?
No, I think it's Son.
I said the Steelers have to at least make a call about Cignetti. I know he said he's not an NFL guy. But that was built like an NFL team. That looked like an NFL game yesterday. I think it's rapidly evolving. I think a bunch of NFL teams could learn a lot posting up in Bloomington and seeing how you deal with players making different amounts of money and still committing to a cause.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, you have to call about Cignetti, but I think that's it. Like,
and they were not the most talented team. They just won a national championship. Yeah. They were not remotely the most talented team.
If you were looking in college, you'd probably look at somebody who is mid-level P4, who could probably go to a job, and it would make sense for them to take a job and then maybe fail upwards if they failed at that job. Almost like Matt Rule. That's kind of who you're thinking. But everybody else, I think they've kind of said all the names necessary. Have a wonderful day, my friends. Take care. Hey, sounds good.
Where's your entourage now?
Cool, I got on the last show.
Oh, boy.
This is an Odyssey Sports Minute.
Curt Cignetti is the best, worst thing to ever happen.